This week, you realize you're becoming someone new on the inside. Then you realize you can do anything. What happens next? Keep streaming for Namaste Today Live. Hello, 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 hello. Mercury is retrograde, and I want to welcome you to Namaste Today Live. I am Sensei Christopher Witecki, the sensei to SeriousJoy.com. We are streaming live right now on all the platforms. We are on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X.com, and Instagram. And we also have a super chat. We invite you to come on in the chat. If you go to any of these locations in the chat, all the chats are brought together so we can kind of come together as a community. Hey, tell us where you're coming from and what your astrological sign is so we can kind of get a feel for who's here. Let's say hi to a few people. Hello, Nancy Rudy. Hello, Lana Anderson. That's a cool name, actually. It sounds like a movie star. Hello, Dalai Lama. Well, we're getting even bigger. Hello, Sichi, of course. That's another star here. And Iggy, another celebrity. This is like the red carpet, really, of Namaste Today Live. It's nice to see everyone here and all the stars. We just need to hear the flash bulbs and things like that. Hello, everyone. Where are you coming from? Hey, Annie, it's nice to see you. And we have Escape Velocity. I'm on board with that. Faith, always a pleasure. Aloha to you. And, of course, we'll say Moonchild Earth. That's a cool name and belongs. Happy Campers here. Lorna Kennedy. The whole gang is here. You must feel that this is an important time because, friends, it is. Astrologically, things are moving forward. It's going to be a really exciting time in the sense of we are now moving into Virgo. And Virgo consciousness, can be a little stuffy sometimes. It's not always the easiest consciousness for us to digest because it's just so real. It's sort of in our face real. But that's the whole point. We are changing our reality. We're going to have a fabulous show here today. And I'm actually already losing my notes here. Here we go. So we have a few things we're going to talk tonight. We're going to be diving into the astrology, of course, of Virgo and how it is contrary to the Pisces energy. And tonight on ASTRO MINGLE, we have author, strategist, alchemist, and executive coach Jennifer Mulholland. We're going to talk about conscious capitalism and her experience of coaching in corporate America. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather.
This zodiac weather is from Saturday, August 24th to Friday, August 30th, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend forecast, the weekend really is the kickoff to the Virgo season. You're going to connect to your heart, and your emotions may have something to say. On Saturday, it's sunny and active. Step 1 means the sun rules the day. This is the day of becoming the self-love. You're moving forward with your new big vision of the life you want to create on the inside of you. And with Mars sextiling Chiron, you're also ready to feel better about the future. On Sunday, it's cloudy and grounded. Step 2 means the moon rules the day, but the moon is in Taurus for most of the day, so you are feeling grounded. But later, you become moody as you face feelings and thoughts when the moon moves into Gemini. You're basically breaking down all future options. Then zipping ahead to the 5-day weekday forecast, over the week you are discovering what you have become before and what you want to become next. On Monday, it's sunny and pensive. Step 3 means Jupiter rules the day. You are becoming wiser as you expand your belief structure. The moon in Gemini helps you articulate and get to the bottom of what you mean. And all this comes down to reshaping your vision for the future. On Tuesday, it's sunny and learning. That's because step 4 brings Uranus ruling the day. I become rattled as a result and adopt a new mantra. The moon in Gemini helps you to communicate what's going on, and Venus trines Uranus to rattle your perception of the future. Moving on to Hump Day Wednesday, cloudy and sensitive is our prediction for the day. Step 5 means Mercury is the ruling step, or the I think state of awareness. As a result, I become clear, proceeding forward with your fate. The moon is in Cancer though, so things get a little moody and the planets are kicking in. Venus opposes Neptune, creating the possibility for delusion, but Mercury stations direct to help you clear it up. On Thursday, it's sunny and nurturing. Step 6 means Venus rules the day. I become restored as a result. You are feeling through all the shifts you've gone through, and the moon in Cancer now becomes quite nurturing. Venus on this day does enter into Libra, opening up to infinite potential for balance and harmony. Venus trines Pluto, opening your life to a higher vibration, and Juno opposes the North Node, which means it's time to get busy about leaving behind the past. And then on Friday, it's cloudy but clear. Step 7 means Neptune rules the day, intuition is strong, and as a result, I become realized. And inspiration has become real on this day. The moon finishes up in Cancer and shifts into Leo, which means you move into the weekend in your heart. All right. Please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Serious Joy TV. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please like this video right now. It really does help us. These algorithms either pull us back or they push us forward. We don't like it, but we really could help. You could help by just clicking like, basically. The YouTube algorithm is going to suggest us to other people and also move us up in the stream. Today, Namaste Today Live is sponsored by SeriousJoy.com because we have new content we're happy to share with the world, not just our subscribers. We have the new daily download starring Heather Exposito. It's now free to the public every day at SeriousJoy.com. And what this is ultimately is audio that just gives you from the step perspective your day. And it's designed for our subscribers who may be too busy to do the full pep talk, but it's also designed for people who are out in the public who are not subscribers. We want to start helping to coach the subscribers and non-subscribers of the world every day. And this is the first step. Now, Heather's wonderful. She's been with us for many years. She was a writer on our site. She's worked really hard. She knows the step system, and she's got a gentle touch too, and we'll explain things real simply. So we'll talk more about it at the end of the show, but you can go to SeriousJoy.com right now, and we give you a free daily download. That's the name of the program every day of the week. All right, friends, without further ado, let's do our planets and transits. Hola, welcome friends. Welcome to Virgo. Let me tell you, if you see me jittery, it's freaking Virgo. Virgo makes me jittery. I get real jittery on Virgo. I can't get my lines out. I did LOL last week. I was like jittering all over my tongue. And I know Mercury is retrograde, but it's just the consciousness of yourself looking at yourself to see if you're doing it right. That's it. Like that part of us that looks at ourselves to see if we're doing it right. And, you know, I find it amps up this time of the year for me. And at the same time, Virgo consciousness, it's when we get so much stuff done. Like I do more business in 30 days than I do in a whole business quarter, usually during Virgo consciousness, because it's just the ability. It's like a superpower. Like you've taken some sort of biological weapon for intelligence. You suddenly just get much more smarter and you suddenly can just finally handle the details that you've been sitting on your butt doing nothing during Leo, right? Not having a good time. So in this Virgo consciousness this year, this is what I want to talk about today, is that we're going to get hyper aware in a whole new way. I think that this is a major upgrade to Virgo in itself. So the whole potential of this 3D ride that we're on called Mother Earth, this ride that we can't get off of, frankly, the ride itself is getting an upgrade. That's how I see this new Virgo upgrade, that we have new features. We have new cool bells and whistles. It's like Disneyland was remodeled. It's going to be a new whole experience. And that world begins really with you because, you know, I believe that each of you, myself, all of us, as I start to study what reality is, and of course, how do I know? I'm just talking to people who channel and I'm other experts and interviewing people on ASTRO MINGLE. That's also where I learn about it. What it really comes to see, if I could dare to talk about the architecture of incarnation, it seems quite clear that A, we're beaming down from someplace in some other place, some other dimension, commonly known as heaven, Pisces. Okay, that's Pisces is towards heaven. Okay. And Virgo is towards Earth. And we start as a Pisces, even higher than Pisces. I think it slinks into it slinks from a higher vibration into Pisces. And then from Pisces, it slinks into Aquarius. And Aquarius is vibration. And that's where we begin to actually form till we become incarnated in Virgo. We become real. And so it's an idea in heaven that is beamed down to the planet and becomes real. That's incarnation, it seems like. So what I'm suggesting is that this week, and I guess we'll go right to the title. It's good. This week, we have inner realizations that become real because this week, we're going to upgrade what that reality is. We're going to get an upgrade to the bottom part. Actually, we're getting an upgrade to both parts. We've been upgrading the heaven part, the middle Pisces energy. That's the membrane between reality and non-reality. We've been upgrading that for some time. Now, in this incarnation, from what I understand, we're going to talk more incarnation. I understand that, on the planet, reality itself is kind of an illusion. It's actually just all energy, allegedly, and it's just energy swirling around energy, creating this experience that we call life. And as I study, I've come to learn that, and this is all through human design, and the design maven has taught all this to me too, Dylan, is that literally the generator. So if you're a human design generator, Dylan's theory or his knowledge is that generators are actually generating the reality. Every human generator is actually creating the projection, creating all the calculations. So we're like local computers that are walking around, crystal computers walking around the earth, basically generating the reality. And it's great. It's kind of sort of like Tesla. If you know Tesla, every car in Tesla, that car is recording the road. And so in a way, cars are recording the road. We have this awareness, this online awareness, right, of this grid. Human beings are the same thing. Our collective consciousness is sort of the thoughtware that each of these, people are all connecting to and agreeing upon. And that's creating the reality of my meality, as I like to put it. In that sense, if everyone on the planet gets an upgrade, or maybe 33%, I don't know what the rules are, then reality itself upgrades, what we call as reality. I don't know about you, but I've had some dreams where I am flying around. There's sparkles coming on my eyes. I'm not going to tell you what's coming on other things, but like it is an environment and is so real enough to where I thought, oh, real is very plastic. Like if I'm this convinced in a dream, then technically in this reality, anything is possible. Makes me wonder, like, I honestly believe there were unicorns. I believe there were mermaids. I think we blinked them out. I think the generators all were like, I don't believe in that anymore. And I think they just started to fade away. I don't know what the story is, but at the end of the day, that's, I feel like, what it comes down to. So on a personal level, right, we're all running our thoughtware that reality is this and reality is that. And this is what I become. And this is what I'm stuck as. And you can't change that. And you can't change the facts. And on top of this, you have this intellectual commandment from, science, basically, that says, if you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. So our current reality is, unicorns don't exist, excuse me. And if you can't prove it, it doesn't exist either. And we've been believing that. And so all the generators have been generating that. That's my philosophy. That's my theory. So if we're captured into a belief structure that does not really belong on the device, Mother Earth, then we are trapped in that belief structure. But here's what's crazy about this, right? And this is why the media is controlled. If the word gets out before you are, silented on a social media platform, that we are actually all generating this, all we need to do is pass a note in class and start to think about, well, what do we want to, we don't even have to run for office. I don't even have to go down to my local. Why don't we just start to think all on our own and never even ask permission and just decide to blink in something else? I think that's maybe a possibility. Now, here's the thing. We have to get along. Well, why don't we get along? Well, there's a lot of forces that don't want us to get along. I wonder why, right? So going back to the metaphysics, the power, is so much greater than you might realize, because you're a point of presence. I'm a point of presence. She's a point of presence. Wouldn't you like to be a point of presence too? Right? Kind of energy. And all of us are having a different idea. And if I turn on my light and you're like, what went on over there? And then you turn on your light and they're like, oh, what went on over there? What's that light over there? And then that next person, oh, there's a lot of lights bouncing. It's like, if you just be the light, you will spread just by being it. I'm telling you that because we're about to become our new self. Now, we were born to a self that felt it was an inferior self. We were told that by the operating system at the time. We were told we were inferior. We were told we had to bow to gods. We were told that kings were important. We were told all sorts of things. And of course, we have believed all of this. And so we have been trapped in our own self, and we've got damaged and all these different things that's kept us damaged. But we're now with Pisces energy, and that's where we're going with this. The damage that we have had from being trapped and bonking along those sorts of different things, whether it's organized religion here or communism there, or, I can't even think. There's all sorts of brainwash things around the world. I have to name them. But we were damaging all these things. And so we've been clouded as human beings, and we've been set up to fight with each other when we're not clouded. And so we've been so distracted, we haven't been able to actually change the thoughtware And we forgot that we have the ability to change the thought we're in ourselves. So the first thing that's happened, just to sort of kind of lay out how it's unfolding, God's magic here, the ascension, the big ascension plan, the great awakening, however you want to call it. It first starts with Saturn and Pisces, and Neptune and Pisces even before that. So 2012, Neptune and Pisces, Neptune comes in and starts to awaken all of the awaken you to the past life stuff and the past life pain. Saturn and Pisces, comes in. This is in 2022. Every time I try to call myself on a date, my brain goes, okay, I'm not going to tell you then if I do it on the air. It's like a weird game I have with myself. It's crazy. So it disappears. Boink. It's like fun how your consciousness plays with you. But Saturn came into Pisces and we started to take responsibility for the pain. And we've been clearing our pain and saying, okay, I'm not going to do that again. Or, okay, I'll learn from my stuff. And we've been doing this clearing. And this year in 2024, man, have we been clearing. It's been such a ride. And at the same time, Jupiter was in Taurus early this year, which was saying build, build, build. So there's this push to build. But on the same time, Saturn in Pisces is push to clear. You could also say that if you clear, you'll build faster because the emotional trauma and the spiritual stuff is dead weight, literally past life dead weight, frankly. So as we move forward and we start to speed up, then Jupiter goes into Gemini. And Jupiter in Gemini is going to reprogram the thoughtware. It's perfect timing. It was last time in 2012. That was when we last were Gemini washed. We'll just say Gemini washed. I gotta be careful of keywords now. When you were Gemini washed. And now we are about to be Gemini washed again. What I mean by Gemini washed is that some sort of something comes out and steers everyone's thinking. I mean, for instance, before 9/11, were you ever afraid of something happening on a plane? Did you feel like you had to be scanned for, stuff? After 9/11, now you're convinced you got to take off your shoes. You got to put on that. It's just the way it is, right? So that is right there. Everyone now is concerned or worried or will it get there? I don't think we have a real worry, but the point is it's so embedded and calm now. It's like that is just now part of our society. We just accept it, just included in the thoughtware. So I don't know, what instigates. I mean, this particular election we have is going to shake the thoughtware. Today we had a shaking of the thoughtware. I haven't even heard the full title, but I heard something today about someone endorsing someone. That's all I'll say. And that's a huge thoughtware shift. But in our personal self, it's most important because Jupiter, when the brain, I've been studying Jupiter and Jupiter and Gemini. It's really fascinating because, Jupiter is Sag and Gemini is the other side. It's the opposite. So in consciousness, there's really this polarity. So when the way God consciousness was made it, you store all the belief side over here and all your thoughts. So your thoughts and beliefs are hardwired to always bounce off of each other in our consciousness. And frankly, our belief comes before our thought. That's what's unknown. So what happens when Jupiter goes in the opposite sign, right? Jupiter goes into Gemini and Jupiter is Jupiter. So it's not like Mars going on to Venus. It's like Jupiter is going over into Gemini. Jupiter just blows all the conversations open in your head and suddenly makes you maybe wrong. What it does is it gives you another option or another option. So it's like we could go to the park or we could go to, and suddenly this other idea comes that you never had before. That is basically the defragging of our thoughtware, our hardware drive, our thoughtware. It's being defragged. It's being defragged because Jupiter's saying, did you know? It's like, da-da-da-da, but did you know this? And like, I didn't know that. Yeah, your mind didn't have access to that information. So Jupiter is opening up our mind. We'll talk about it when I'll show you the charts. I'll give you more specific examples. And this all has a good ending. Keep working with me here. I know it's a long story, but it has a good evening. It has a good ending. What happens after we open up our mind is now we move into Cancer, where we scrub our emotions. And then we move into Leo, which is where we've been just now. And Leo is where our heart in the last 30 days. I'm very curious in today's poll, like, how'd you do in Leo? Like, did you get a boost? Did your heart get bigger? Because my heart took away the pains that were hurting it. I found that this Leo season was the thorns coming out of the lion's paw. At least for me, I was taking out thorns that I had learned to just deal with. Right. And just deal with the pain. Right. So we go through Leo, and in Leo, we basically reconfirm that we love ourselves. We come back into self-love. We then look at our life and we're like, I don't know if I love this or I don't know if I love that. And then now the end of Leo, which we've come out of, we say, well, what does my heart really want anyways? And Mercury's retrograde. So Mercury's like, yeah, I don't know what to think about this, right? And then we come to Virgo. And Virgo is, okay, you just spent all this time facing your karma, reprogramming your ego. Aries didn't talk about that. Remanifesting, didn't talk about that. Thinking differently. And you finally have the eraser for your mind, so you can erase all sorts of bad programming. And now your heart has realized what it really wants. Here comes the sun. Make it so. That's what Virgo is. Make it so. The make it so is that you allow to be that old self over and over again. So if you continue to be your old self every day, you will waste this Virgo transit. You will not upgrade in your software to the new Mother Earth experience, at least not yet this year. People go, oh gosh, he makes it so dramatic. I've read these comments, and it's like, no. Every year you get a chance. It's a merry-go-round. So every year you get a chance. So then you missed the boat. You'll have to wait till Virgo next year. I believe, unless you're this incredible, ascended master, then you'll pop open and like break open the matrix. I mean, I don't know all of it, but I know those of us, who are just working with the stars have to wait for the energy to come up. And the interesting thing is to note is as the sun goes through Virgo in this consciousness, your heart will illuminate what you have become. Okay. Look, you become fat. That's what I always do. Oh, Jesus. Oh, look, you become this. Oh, I become that. And there's a lot of judgment there because the Virgo consciousness is aware of everything else you could be. That's the thing about Virgo. That's why they're so hard on themselves, because they're so smart. They know all the things they could be, and they know they're not. It's one thing to be a useful idiot, and I didn't even know that was an option. Virgo knew, and Virgo knew they weren't it, right? So this is it's a hyper aware time where, first of all, my first tip for this is that you have to apply the Pisces consciousness to get through Virgo. That's the secret sauce. Remember the opposites I was talking about with Gemini and Sag? The same is true with Pisces and Virgo. Pisces, let's do it on the side. Pisces is soul. Virgo is what it becomes, right? And Pisces is also compassion, letting it go. Who cares? It's not important. It's the literal opposite of life. Pisces is spirit's most important. Virgo's like earth's most important. And the two of them have to come together. So when you're going through this Virgo transit that's coming up, and we're in it actually to win it, the only way to get through it comfortably is to go to that Pisces side of you. You have to be compassionate, not care, consider everything, just go with the flow, be flexible, go limp, be kind to yourself. All these things, that's the process, that's the posture in order to not get ticked off at things not going right, or for you to realize how far you have to grow still, because you're going to get really sharp nano measurement with Virgo consciousness. And also this other layer that I want to put out there before I get into the planets, this other layer is forgiveness. Because Pisces, you can forgive in your soul, like, oh, I forgive myself. It's so good. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, myself, and be all that kindness. But Virgo's like, look what it did. Look what that did. Look what that mistake did. So Virgo's pointing out all the evidence. We were releasing without looking at all the evidence. It's kind of hard to look at the evidence. I always joke with people. It's like, I'm not looking forward to going to heaven and looking back down at the evidence. There's stuff I want deleted. I need someone on the inside to delete some of those files in the Akashic records. I don't want to be seen. And that's probably why I'm going to reincarnate, because I have that worry. But the point is that you have to let go of your attachment to this life. And you have to realize, not forever, just for a moment, so you can really look at everything like a garage sale. That's my favorite analogy for this. Just look at your life as a garage sale. I'm sick of that thing. Get rid of it. Versus, why did I ever buy that? Right? Like people get all, embarrassed that there's a mistake in their life. And that's the hole you fall into with Virgo, that, that you start judging the wrongness of it, and you forget this is a dream from heaven. Let's just blink this out of there. Why am I even worried? This is where the human race is not in their power. They don't realize they can energetically just decide it needs to go, and it goes. The system will take it away, sometimes in cuffs, unfortunately. So over the week, we're going to talk about this process. The theme of the week is, and I'll actually need it on the screen because I rewrote it. We'll get it up here as soon as we can because I rephrase it. Inner realizations become real. That's right. This is a complicated one. But that's the paradox of it. Inner realizations become real. So at the very essence of this week, you're realizing what you have become on the inside. And these realizations should not be pretty or not pretty, because if you're labeling them, you're judging them. If you're judging them, you're closing down. Again, we have to take the Pisces. It's all good. God makes all sorts of things, from lizards to mouse, to mice, everything. And it's okay. Those are the magic words of Pisces. It's okay. It's okay. I don't care. This week, God, universe, and through the weekend is going to give you sort of a pre-heaven tour. You get this tour of your life. And what I mean by that literally is, when you're washing the dishes, you suddenly remember something. When you're, talking to your mom, you suddenly remember something. You just become aware. God kind of just takes over and shows you things. And you don't realize that that's happening, but it's your awareness making it aware in reality is what it is. And as we go through the steps this week, Saturday is step 2. So it is a review of your emotional reality. Sunday, a review of your belief structure reality into Monday. So they kind of blend there. Then we go into where we belong in our life or not. Do I even belong here in this particular place that I'm at? That's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we start to reprogram. Oh, you know what? I don't like the way I become in my mind. My mind has become this. My mind has become that. And then it's Thursday. My relationship to myself has become this. My relationship to myself has become that. And then Friday, it comes down to, what the hell was the lesson anyways? And you sort of put it all together. So you can say in the arc of this week, you're really figuring out more with higher resolution than you've ever seen before. Or you'll see, and I'm getting these reports from everyone, that they're just seeing themselves so much differently since Jupiter went to Gemini and started erasing the bad code, right? And upon seeing what you become, my job, says my guides, is to make sure you know that you can change that like that. To not get fooled by the mirage, to not be fooled by this magic trick we call reality, to not be fooled into what we've been told in our thoughtware, that things can't change and magic doesn't happen and unicorns don't exist. Don't get caught in that. Take back your own power over your thoughtware. Be who you want to be. And that's really, I think, that's my own personal message. Be who I want to be. Believe it or not, I'm trying to be more myself every day on camera. I'm trying to be just my real self. And I have just so many, damages from a childhood where I would entertain and make things funny and just go into this happy guy to make the family laugh, turn the emotion to change to put out the fires. I was the fire, put out fires with the whole family. I was the one talking to them. I'm the one that knew everything. So I was trained in my childhood, but I was trained to tap dance and be nervous. And so I become a lot of things that are based on what I was scared of, right? Even though I'm entertaining still, right? That's the case. So in my case, my awareness has already started since Virgo. I mean, as soon as it went live, which was, Thursday, I think, precise when it was 0, I realized that I just want to be me. That was the essence of it. So for me, just to share with the audience, my breakthrough for me, there's more to come. That might just be the opening act, but that I'm going to be who I want to be. That's what I came to. And I don't care is the other thing I came to, which is it's okay, put in a negative way. It's okay. If people don't like it or whatever. And, this is in my personal relationships. This is everywhere because I'm a dork. I'm always wanting to make jokes. I'm making jokes in my head. I'm afraid to tell them, like who I am is a clown, an articulate clown. So back to the show, I shared that because you are going to have an inner realization. I believe an inner realization that, that you don't have to be the way you've been. You can be someone else first on the inside. So I was not being nice to me on the inside. I was forcing myself to tap dance, and I wasn't forcing myself. I was trained. It was subconscious. I was raised doing it. So I didn't even do a number over myself. I wasn't aware. How do you know as a kid? You don't even know, right? So I had no power over it. But now that I've discovered it, I had power over it when I chose a life officially. I chose that life. I knew I'd be programmed that way. But now I have power to be who I want to be. And I think, honestly, as far as who you should be, it's what your heart wants you to be. Yeah, Free to Be You and Me. Free to Be You and Me was an album I listened to actually in the 70s also. I was just talking about that with Kristen Ryder, my soul sister, how we used to sing that song. And that was very positive and probably put me on this path right here, one of the major things. So let's give credit to those people who did that because that was brilliant work. I just got goosebumps from that too. I think I did a heavenly thing there. Now, that said, the challenge going through this week, and here's the question: what must I be compassionate to? What must I be compassionate about? So I would say to all of you, if you are sensitive when you public speak, or you're sensitive You know, it's a hard thing for you to tell your father this, or, you know, it's going to be really a challenge to face up to your truth. Be nice to yourself. Be compassionate. Compassion is bringing God's love to it. Compassion is an emotional thing. It's not a mind thing. It's something you feel. It blows through you like a cold mist. For me, anyways, it just kind of comes in and just puts out the fire. It's an energy source. It's a frequency. It's a radio station on God's network. You tune into it and it takes you over. And that's what we're learning, is that we can tune into any station, but we got to get down the basics, y'all. Compassion. So be compassionate to yourself. It's like, oh, this can be hard. So, okay, let's get a blankie. Maybe we need this. It's okay. Take your time. You know, it's that to yourself, inside yourself. That is the Pisces. That is applying the spirit to the earth. Applying the spirit to the earth is what breaks up the density of the earth and allows the earth to reformat into a new thoughtware system, a new reality, a new video game that we're casting from heaven, right? So I think that's all I want to say for the big picture of it. Let's dive into the step-by-steps, and we'll dive into starting it with the sun. Moving my notes here. This week, the sun goes from 1 to 7, step 1 to 7. And those steps are literally the stairway to who you are and what you become. By the way, here's a cheat. Step 11 is when you become real. So what I discovered and downloaded from angels was that there is a sequence of consciousness. Then if you put it in the sequence, consciousness will form into reality. And it is the step system. It is from 0 to 11. Now, here's the thing. When the sun is in Virgo every year, we reformat our reality. We may choose the same boring thing we did last year, which is what a lot of people do. But most of us are sort of winding down, in the Southern Hemisphere. They've just come out of winter. They're looking at spring and they're excited. In the Northern Hemisphere, we just came out of summer. We're slowing down for autumn. And in that moment, we're going, it's been a nice season, but I don't want to be this or I don't want to be that. So this is that slow down part of humanity where we start to slow down. And in that slowing down, we're looking at all the things that this last year was, and we're going, it should be better, or I want it to be better, in that hyper consciousness of Virgo. And that's probably what happened when we were living out in the woods. We just, every year in that season. So what you're going to do this year, knowing what you know, learning what you learned, realizing what you realize, you can make better choices about what you want to become. And you have a lot of time to become it. In fact, you don't become it fully until Pisces, when the earth is in Virgo. That's when you will fully become it. It will take 6 months for you to fully become what you decide to become right now, because the rest of yourself is going to kind of itch and, be triggered and like need scratched out and removed or soothed or calmed down. So the soul resists. It doesn't just happen overnight. This week, what you decide is what your heart should become, your feelings should become, your beliefs should become, where you belong in yourself, what you think about yourself, and how you relate to yourself. And then why? What's the spiritual reason for this? Why from heaven am I doing this now? What did I learn in this last cycle? At the same time, Venus is at the high degrees of Virgo. And Venus is sort of sweeping the sidewalk, making way. I was saying in my pep talk, Venus is laying down the red carpet for the royal sun. She's out there throwing down rose petals, basically. And what she's doing is basically sprinkling the earth with possibilities, which is also open up. So open up. Maybe you can move. Open up. Maybe there's another solution. Open up. It's not always this way. Open up. Let's do some more research. So Venus is sort of opening us up. Now, she's opening us up the most to the future. What will the future become? And I've had this. I've talked to clients who have this. For years, we weren't certain what the future would become. I mean, after COVID, I really wasn't sure what the future would become. That was the first time I was like, wait a second, am I wrong? Have I been wrong my whole life? I had that moment in COVID because it just blew my mind that could happen. But then as things unfolded, it's like, okay, I see how it all happened, right? The point is that we start to get shut down and worried, and we close down on what we can become and what the future can become. So Venus this week is going to sort of kind of, liquor up that part of you, kind of loosen you up and say, it's not really true. You could become this, or the future could become that. In fact, again, today, a major headline about a major candidate throwing votes to another major candidate. Whoa, didn't know it could become that, right? We're going to have a lot of, shakes like that with Venus sort of loosening us up as we go forward. Now, way back in Leo, let's go back to Leo with Mercury. Mercury goes from, first of all, Mercury will station direct this week. So, when whatever Mercury is basically defragging. That's a good way. Mercury is like sort of like, okay, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. That's sort of like you're just maybe nodding everything as it goes backwards. Goes from 22 just to 21, only 2 steps in 1 week because it's slowing down. Ready to station direct at 21. Guess what 21 is? It's Jupiter. Jupiter is 21. Now Mercury's over in Leo. So Jupiter, and where it is, we'll talk about in a moment, is it is beaming energy to Mercury and updating Mercury because it's in Gemini, and that's, and Gemini is Mercury's home. So Jupiter's making a whole bunch of mess in Mercury's home. And so Mercury is being reprogrammed about the heart. What this means simply is we're having a change of heart. And when Mercury stations direct at 21 degrees, we now have the new thoughtware going forward. There'll be some bugs and maybe some little upgrades and patches. Jupiter's in leave Gemini for a while, but Mercury is saying, first of all, Mercury at 22 says it doesn't have to be this. And then Mercury at 21 goes, well, what will it be? And that's basically the conversation with our heart with Mercury this week. It doesn't have to. Well, what will it be? Right. So we come into probably a realization of like, oh, it's this. Okay. It doesn't have to. And then the question is, what will it be? And that's the question of Mercury direct. Now, as we're doing all this processing, of course, we have emotional processing. The moon over the weekend is manifesting in Taurus. So when I look at the moon in Taurus, it's sort of like when God saves your work to the hard drive. So if we skip the moon in Taurus, we would never grow because we never store the Taurus is like sort of like makes it so and manifests it and stores it to the hard drive. And so we're storing to the hard drive. Okay, so we've done the last 28 days. This is what reality is. We'll check in with you next upgrade, right, of the hard drive. What it means in a practical, personal sense is over the weekend, when we have step 2 and step 3, we're going to explore what we become in our emotions. We're going to explore what we become in our beliefs. And so emotion, belief, oh my God, what I become, it's kind of a heaviness. But with the moon in Taurus, it says you're basically going to, record to the hard drive what you feel and what you believe. That's it. Steps 2 and 3. The moon is basically in Taurus for steps 2 and 3. So we record to the hard drive what we feel and what we believe. I say that because don't kid yourself or lie to yourself about this, about how you feel, and don't lie to yourself about what you believe about yourself because it's going to be your next cycle. Then the moon goes into Gemini, and the moon in Gemini is Sunday, Monday. So Sunday night, Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday. And of course, the moon in Gemini no, we're not going there quite yet. We'll back to the moon, please. We're just talking about it. But, or maybe you're giving me a little extra there, showing us what's in Gemini. That was smart. We're starting to have telepathy, director and I. But in Gemini is Mars and Jupiter as he flashed there. And so the moon crosses those 2 points. And so those are big, like, interruptions in the thoughtware. First, the moon crosses Jupiter. And so the moon emotions might be holding you back. And Jupiter's like, and gives you another perspective. And then Mars, let's go. So what happens is, I think, is we record the hard drive and we're like, okay. And then we go into Gemini and we're like, all right, what's possible? And so we start thinking about what's possible while looking at what's real. And that's brilliant. Thanks, God. Awesome programming there, because we're going to look at what's real and we're going to think about what's possible. You've given us the 2 tools we need to have to make this happen. So you basically have the tools to reprogram your thoughtware, right? When the moon goes into Gemini, you get your feelings out of your thoughts way. You get your thoughts out of your feelings way, your peanut butter out of your chocolate. And you sort of get those 2 Gemini pillars on each side. And then from there, you can really organize where you're going. So the most clarity will probably be on Tuesday, I believe. Let me just look at the step number for Tuesday. Tuesday is a shift hole. It'll be Wednesday. So Wednesday, when the moon goes into Cancer, that's interesting. Then the moon goes into Cancer, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to be emotional, sensitive, processing our feelings, processing our past, and because it's Virgo, it's very, very real. And then on Friday, the moon goes into Leo, and that's when we have our ice cream, because we return to our heart and we can feel our heart again, and the sun comes out. And whatever you've gone through to face who you become and what you don't like about yourself, and now you forgive and you let go. Now it's time to enjoy yourself and who you are. And that's the moon in Leo. So it's going to be a great show next week. And I just suppressed in my mind, I hope, just to give you an idea of how I reprogram myself. My mind did say, I hope. Moving on to Gemini. And I'm like, no, that's not true, mind. I'm reprogramming my mind with Gemini and Mars. So my mind just said, I hope. And I'm like, we're not going to say that out loud. But then I used it as a tool. That doesn't count. First of all, Jupiter and Gemini at 18 degrees. 18 is my favorite number. I'm a step 18. Oh, we lost Jupiter, and then he's back. And 18 at 9 is, well, your heart decides, go. So our mind is given the green light. So that means in practical terms, yes, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy it. Let's do it. Let's finance it. Let's sell it. Let's get rid of it. Let's move. It's that let's do it. That's what 18 Gemini is, where the mind lights up. And I have a Gemini sun, and I see step 18 in him all the time. His Mercury is at step 18 Taurus on my sun. Isn't that cute? Our sun, Mercury, and sun. But I see him do that, and that's a recognition of my soul. That's what happens when I get it. It's like, as soon as I decide, I'm doing it. And that's how you're going to feel. And Mars is sort of like a drunken, like a drunken football fan. It's like, let's do it. That's what Mars is doing up there. Ah! Mars goes from 22 to 26. And so there is this kind of energy, this storm in the castle kind of energy that we have in our mind, which you could say is a brainstorm. So we have major brainstorms predicted this week because of the combination of the energy and removing things, and all the things add up. It's just like, wow. I've had brainstorms and I had a good idea where I was thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't go to bed. I couldn't sleep. It was so brilliant, fascinating, and genius. And, and it's the idea, not me. It just has so many legs. It can go so many places. That's how we're going to feel. If anything, we're going to have to calm down. Have you noticed I'm very fast tonight? It's Mars and Gemini. It's in my 11th house. It's making me batty energetically. But I like it too, because you get to explore different parts of yourself when Mars highlights it, makes that part of yourself bigger, and you're like, oh, you kind of see it. We're going to have the same thing with debates too. From a national level, we'll go back to that. But Mars in that space, the national level, means that there's going to be a lot of debate. I think a lot of angry television, a lot of bad tweets, like people spouting off how angry they are about this and about that, making it public, telling everyone, telling the world, pulling the records off of Spotify, those types of things, right? Okay, moving on. We have also a pot stirrer, Uranus. Uranus is at 27, which nets to a 9, and it's Taurus, and that is a let's do it also energy. And basically, it's a let's build it, let's make it. Let's build that better tomorrow. So Uranus and Taurus, I don't even think Build Back Better is someone who's an astrologer, because Build Back Better is aligned perfectly with Uranus. Uranus is Build Back Better, right? That we're going to make it better. So that phrase has a weird energy to me. I don't like to say it out loud. For some reason, it's got a weird signature to it. I don't know what it is. If anyone's out there is a mystic, do you feel anything weird off that sentence? It always makes me feel weird. I don't know why. But I digress. Mars is saying, get to it, chop, chop. So that means in literal sense, oh my God, we got the money. Oh my God, they signed the contract. I guess we're doing this. It's that green light energy. And I think it inspires us that we have to change. I have to become this. I have to grow into, because of all this happening, all these opportunities coming to me. Then we have Pisces, which we talked about briefly, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Now, Saturn actually retrogrades from 17 to 16 Pisces. The relevance of that is 16 is when the God consciousness is informed of the change. So Saturn tells on you when Saturn goes to 16. Saturn will tell you, basically your energy is allowed to go and kind of upgrade into the higher consciousness. And so they're basically upgrading, your spiritual progress. He's either made it or he hasn't, or she, right? So this go to 16 means we figure it out this week. If it goes to 16, we figured it out. Or we realize we can't figure it out. If you can't figure it out, you're going to have to do one more lap, right? If you figure it out, you're going to be able to kind of download the next spiritual intention, is how it is. Neptune at 29 is holding open I call this like a wormhole. 29 Pisces, it's basically opening up kind of when I see it in my third eye, it's like it's opening up like this hole to the other side and allowing everything to pass through for those who know how to. It's not like demons are flying through and ghosts. It's all high level, high consciousness, but it means that we have access to our past lives right now. I have friends telling me about past life dreams and Atlantis dreams. That's Neptune holding the portal open. Basically, the equivalent of that would be like to be a yogi in the Himalayas for 50 years doing yoga every day of your life. Yeah, you're at a 29 Pisces degree. You're vibrating in that sort of degree. Not many energies on planet can vibrate at that degree. But what it tells you is if God's giving you the highest note possible, here's the highest note. And at the same time, given the ability to change and make a difference, obviously we've been given the tools to change our life. And these are the tools right here. Take advantage. All right, moving on to Pluto. Here's another thing God is doing for us. Oh, I don't know where okay, there. Pluto is at 0 degrees. It's been at 0 degrees, but here's the highlight. Pluto is a Grand Master degree of 0. So Pluto is also opening up the door. It's got a portal open, and that portal is infinite frequency. You have infinite frequencies you can make. You can make any noise, any flower, anything. It just says anything goes, is what Pluto at 0 says. What that freedom does is people who are weak collapse when there's not a strength there. Because when Pluto is in any other degree, it's sort of propping us up somewhere, like just holding us up. And we're like, oh, I feel strong with Pluto here. It's like a railing. Pluto retrograde, oh, where's the railing? Pluto 0, what railing? Right? So suddenly we don't even know if we have a railing anymore. That is the openness of consciousness. And what that does is, in this week where you are becoming someone new, you can be any frequency, any vibration, anything. It's everything must manifest sale. So powerfully, we are in a place to change our life this week by being something else. And then let's talk ego with Aries. In the Aries consciousness, we have, of course, the North Node. It goes from step 7 to step 6. Isn't it interesting that Saturn goes from net 7 and is net 8 to net 7, and here we have 7 to 6. So we're really tuning in these areas. The North Node is saying at the beginning of the week, what is your soul? Go towards what your soul tells you. Follow your intuition. Your intuition knows. Your intuition knows. When the North Node is at 7, your intuition knows. When the North Node at 6 happens, you know. You already know. You know the way. It's within you. You have the force. So this is a very cosmic week in the sense that put a blindfold on. You have to sense your way through it. And if you give your power over to your senses, you will be beginning the path of ascension right there. That's the path of ascension. When the ego bows to the spirit, when the ego bows to 7 and lets spirit be the ruler of you, whoa, you got it all, right? Now, Chiron at 23 is also healing the future thing. That the future thing in the sense of the future is going to end up being bad. We're all going to die. It's really just a conspiracy and we're all going to be, sold for meat. That's basically, and I do believe that there are crazy people that would like that to happen. As crazy as it sounds to me, like, what? You can make anything you want, that idiot. That's how I think. Like, we have rainbow magic here and we're doing that. But even though it's happened in the past, doesn't mean it'll happen in the future. And that's a big part of what Chiron at 23 really is. Even though it happened in the past, doesn't mean it will happen in the future. In fact, it's unlikely it'll happen in that exact form anyways. All right. Okay. So I think that's Aries. And then we'll do Libra just to wrap up the opposite side, because on the opposite side of this is us also regurgitating who we are. We're not only becoming someone new, we're becoming someone else to ourselves. This is the early Libra consciousness. Okay. We have the North Node, the South Node going from 7 to 6 because it goes backwards. And we have Black Moon Lilith going from 9 to 10. So Black Moon Lilith is saying, hey, face your fears about you being a failure. Face your fears about letting yourself down. Face your fears about you're going to screw it up. So Black Moon's like, you got to face your fears that you're going to screw it up. You have to do it again. And Black Moon Lilith at 10 goes, and this has to be the new way. And by the way, if you're afraid that you can't change, let's face that fear too. So we're doing a lot of fear around, we're doing a lot of facing of our fear around taking our power in ourself back and manifesting who we want to be. Your parents, your bosses, your Catholic school, everyone beat you down and told you to be something. And then you beat yourself down and told you to be something to yourself. So whoever abused you, I guarantee you abused yourself. That's how it works. You turn around, you do it to yourself. You can't help it. They're telling you, do it. They're saying, hurt yourself. See, just like we do it. And so all of us end up hurting ourselves, not knowingly. Like I was saying in the beginning, when I was talking about my story, I didn't know it was being, thought wire washed. So Black Moon Lilith is basically saying, hey, are you afraid to change that? Because you can change how you are to yourself if you like, and then everything else would change. And the North Node, the South Node says, let's just let it go. Who cares? Who cares that we were a sinner by being, doing tarot cards in our 20s, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? That's what the South Node is like. I don't care. I just see it dumping junk off your trunk and getting rid of it forever. And so that is a lot of inner work too. That's really helping the Virgo I become consciousness. All right. Now I want to share screen, and I have finally learned how to identify this in my, oops, that's not it. Namaste. NT thumbnail. This is going bad. There we go. Finally. Part of it's my eyesight. There we go. And let's not forget, I have Jennifer Mulholland on today. I'm excited about this because I get to talk about conscious capitalism. She works with corporations and she's doing light in corporations. It's going to be cool. Can't wait. Keep streaming. So we're going to blaze through this pretty quickly. And some people said to me, why do you do this in the middle of the show? Because it slows things down a little bit. Well, I want people to see the planets, and we're going to have a different section here coming soon after we build out our studio. So I'm kind of holding space. I think we want to have a little visual show and tell anyways. So come Saturday, and I even know because we were running so crazy. Here's just after midnight, Mercury sextiles, what's that? Mars sextiles Mercury. Yeah, Mercury's still screwing with me. All right. So first, Mars sextile Mercury retrograde. And the only thing here to know about this happens on Saturday, just after midnight. So tonight. So you'll be sleeping in the United States. You'll be subconscious if that's the case. But we have, of course, Mars here at 22 saying, go for it. Okay. And Mercury at 22 is like, can I really? So this is a real game changer that really gets the conversation started with us. Then Mars sextiles Chiron. Here's Mars sextiling Chiron. And Mars is like, I've got a great idea. Am I going to screw up again? And Chiron's like, no. So that's really the conversation going on where you realize that you want to do it and you won't get hurt. That's a conscious that's happening. Moving on to Venus trines Uranus on Tuesday. And Tuesday is a tough day because the sun's at 4 degrees. So if you're in denial, you will get a major wake-up call that you are not in alignment with yourself. The world doesn't have to know, by the way. What this means is you're on the wrong side of yourself. That happens on Tuesday. And to make matters even more traumatic, Venus then trines Uranus. So basically, this could be on Tuesday where they're like, you got it, you got the job. And then you're like, oh my God, I lied on my resume. I don't even know what it is. Something like that. This like massive, like, oh my God. So there's a storm. And the storm is get to it. And that happens on Tuesday. Mercury stations direct. So after that little shock, Mercury stations direct at 21 degrees, Leo, which is my moon. Oh, that's going to be fun. And Mercury 21 means it's going to be fun, as I like to say. I'd say I'm in 21 form tonight. To be fun, have fun, enjoy it. And what we're doing is choosing the most fun future. So if you're like, I don't know what the best path is for me, the most fun one. If you're really having fun, you're on the best path. Then people go, well, I can't make money doing that. No, you can. That's your thoughtware. You got a bug in your thoughtware. That's the problem. Venus opposes Neptune then, which honestly, this is a little dangerous. I mean, in the sense of keep your eyes on the road. Venus at 29 opposing Neptune. This is basically God taking the lock off the password to change your reality. This is where God's like, all right, you do what you want to do. I don't care. So in that moment, we have this faith versus reality. This is on Hump Day Wednesday. You could say a come to Jesus moment. This is a come to Jesus moment. Venus at 29, the highest degree of reality, opposing Neptune in its own sign, the highest degree of spirituality. This is a circuit. It's a circuit that opens up our mind and opens up our possibilities and frees us from the prison we have put ourselves in. Then on Thursday, Venus comes to the rescue and she's like, let me bring some soothing to all these parts of myself. So we start integrating and soothing our inner self on this day, Thursday. I lose track of the time. Then Venus gives us a wake-up call shortly thereafter, where in Libra, Venus talks to Pluto, and the two of them negotiate that the relationship in your life with yourself has got to go to a higher frequency. It has got to go to a higher frequency. Because God said so. Because we're actually going to turn off those old radio stations in 24 years. So I know it's a 24-year notice, but it takes a long time to upgrade. This is a turning point also on Thursday. Juno opposing the North Node. I'm not going to talk about that one today. Too complex. But I will skip ahead to September 1st, where this is all building. This is the big showdown. Pluto enters back into Capricorn on Sunday, September 1st at night. Right? So as you're going to bed on Sunday for work on Monday, you might feel something dark and luminous, that something ain't right. Something feels like it could fall. Like, is it an earthquake? Is it a tornado? It's Pluto coming back to 29 degrees Capricorn, which means, again, that 29th degree where magic happens. You know, we have Neptune currently at 29 degrees where magic happens. The moon will go to 29 Leo just a few minutes later. Wonk, wonk, wonk. Mars is about to go to 29 just a few minutes later. So you can see this is where we sort of rip off the old reality and we prepare ourselves to move into the new. How's that for a cliffhanger? So, my friends, go steep yourself some tea and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, friends. Welcome to our tea time. This is where we talk about our horoscopes for all 12 signs, which, by the way, we do re-release every Tuesday. We're going to get I'm trying something different. If you can't tell, I'm doing some new things around the house. And one of them is I'm going to kind of remove some of the data on the horoscopes and get deeper in the smaller data. So I'm going to look bigger. I'm going to look at a bigger, closer view at the smaller stuff, if that makes sense. Where I've always tried to be like inclusive of everything, I'm like, we can put that off till next week. That's how I'm sort of changing. That's how Jupiter's changing my thoughtware about how to approach things. So I'm going to keep it simple this week and talk about 3 things instead of 4. 3 is a magic number, as we all know. 1, it's time to talk about the sun in Virgo. And for each of the 12 signs, what that sun means for you and where you are becoming someone else on the inside and where you are becoming someone else to you. So you are becoming, which means you will also uncover where you are unbecoming. All right. That happens when this happens. This is why we have to be humble and compassionate to ourselves, because there might be some stuff we don't like to see. It's hard. Gives you, stomach. It gives you literally stomach problems because Virgo is a stomach. You literally have a pit in your stomach. They say there's a pit in your stomach. There's a pit in your Virgo. That's what's happening. And in that pit in your Virgo, all right, in that moment, you gotta say, it's okay, honey. I'm going to let go of that. I'm going to let go of those emotions, all those knots in my tummy, and not worry about it anymore. Or you can sit there and suffer, which most Virgos I know do. I was like, my God, I'm proud of you for bearing through it, but holy shit. Then I'm going to talk about the Earth in Pisces. And not just the Earth in Pisces. We have Saturn in Pisces from 17 to 16, and Neptune is holding that door open at 29, right? And that high vibration, of course, is the source. So we have to remember to be intuitive about certain things. I'm going to tell you for each of your signs where you need to point your intuition. Look for the signs. Look for the spiritual information. If you get that spiritual information, that will help you to know what to become, what to choose next. And then lastly, I want to talk about Jupiter. And, Jupiter squares Pisces. So Jupiter is, Gemini squares Pisces, and Gemini is our thoughtware, and Pisces are spiritualware. Well, that's a good term I just coined right there, spiritualware. So we have our spiritualware and our thoughtware basically working together, and they come to an intersection, which is a square. So Jupiter and Gemini is stirring the thoughtware all this week, and so I'll talk about the combination of spiritual thoughtware with spiritware and where they are, anyways. All right, friends, I'm going to take a drink. I have 2 glasses of water. This is where I always lose my voice. I know I should have been drinking already, but I'm so passionate about the information. We actually should do a sponsored by here. Well, Sensei drinks, remember, Aqua Blue. All right. Aries. Aries, you are becoming someone new in your body. You are becoming someone new in your daily life. You're becoming someone new in the future. So you're going to become someone new in your body, your life, and the future. You're not that guy anymore or that girl anymore, right? You're not someone's anymore, which you never were. But it means you played a different way in the moment. It means you played a different way as you live the play of your life. Normally you would say, screw off. Now play it different. So play it different. Be someone else. Your life needs to be higher, happier, and more joyful. And you're going to make hard decisions about whether you're happy or not in your body this week. So this week is all about, am I happy in my body? Am I happy every day? Do I have pains? Do I have joints? Do I have issues with inflammation? I don't like how I am at work. I don't know how it feels like this. So you are learning, you're basically taking all the complaints from the inside of you and starting to realize that it's no fun to walk in your shoes in some ways. And can we fix that? Now, the Earth in Pisces says, basically, you will manifest to the next spiritual timeline if you make those changes. So if you don't make those changes in your life, you'll find you're here again next year. The rest of us are going to be off somewhere else. We are. I think most people are. Now, I have no doubts about Aries. They get the shift done. But it does mean you have to be nice to yourself and compassionate to yourself. Forgive yourself from your old stuff. Let it go. God doesn't care. Why do you? And give yourself, at least for 30 days, sort of an insurance policy that you won't be hard on yourself. Now, the thought-aware, emotional-aware conflict is between your thoughts and your faith. So your thoughts have got to be on board your faith, period. Your mind does not have permission to go rogue, and it cannot go off in directions, and it cannot backtalk to you, and it cannot smart off. You got to get your mind in order. Otherwise, it's going to run you over, is what it comes down to. That's a perfect ending. Taurus. I love saying that. Taurus, you are now working on your heart. And most importantly, and I'm feeling this already, you're working on your inner child relationship. Now, Tauruses, because they're builders, they usually go off and build something to feel better. They don't really directly look at the heart. They don't look at what's hurting. They just go off and try to build something better. And build something better, make something better. Are we muted again? Okay. Gotcha. Sorry. That was a backward note. And so now it's time to actually go back to the core of your heart and forget you're going to build, you're going to make, you're going to create things. But what are you to your heart? Are you the nice person? Are you the mean person? Are you the sweet person? What are you saying to your heart when it says it's not happy? Are you talking to it? Right? So Taurus has now got to get to the heart of the matter. If I really ask my heart, if I get what I wish for, if you ask me what I wish, And when you understand the wish, you will know what to be. It's going to come down to that. Now, Pisces energy for you is where you are in the world and who you make yourself be in the world. Do you make yourself be the nice guy? Do you make yourself be the caretaker? Do you make yourself be the healer? Do you make yourself be that because that's what your parents wanted, or your first husband, or your parochial school? But whatever it is, you be who you want to be, which I already talked about. I already had this realization. Be who you want to be. Be yourself is really what it is. Be what your heart wants you to be. So that's the awakening for Tauruses and how they become. No more apologies and no more. I don't think Tauruses pretend. They just gave the person what the person wanted. They were actually just being of service. Now, where this comes into thoughtware has to do with money. Money. It's time to think differently about money and think outside your box. The economic system is not going to be what it is today. And so you got to get ahead on that and think differently. There's other things. There's other places of value, right? Just like the McDonald's chain, it turns out the most value of McDonald's is the land that those things are built on, not the hamburgers or the buildings, right? Customers are great and the employees are great, just for the record. So you are sort of going back and forth between money and society. Who are you supposed to be in society and how will I make it valuable? All right. Geminis. I'll do this for the cutout. Geminis. You are getting nitty gritty when it comes to your feelings about yourself. You too are guilty of dodging how you feel. You basically, go into video games, you start having conversations, you basically distract yourself. And so you don't know how much you hurt or if you're happy or whatever, because you only think about that for a nanosecond and then you're on to the next thought. So you're going to have to put your nose in it is what's going to happen from the universe. Like, put your nose in it. This is how you feel. How's that feel? And you're going to feel it and you're not going to be able to deny it and your mind won't be able to get away. Okay. And I think you're going to understand that you've allowed yourself to become this crusty or this happy or this sad, or you've allowed it to become these things inside your feelings. And that is, knowledge is half the battle. So it's time to become different in your feelings. It's time to become different than the way you were raised. It's time to grow out of your home that you were raised in, or the homes you were raised in. And the Pisces side of this is your beliefs. So you're coming out of a lot of spiritual brainwashing. Geminis have been, through the years, they've been spiritually brainwashed. Geminis fell for all of it because they are so sweet and absorbing information. They want truth. So you were the biggest suckers for organized religion, the biggest suckers for any sort of brainwash sort of thing. And a lot of your karma is caught in that. And so you have to forgive yourself for being wrong. And that's why you're always trying to be right, is because you feel ashamed for being wrong once upon a time. And so you got to make it okay that you're wrong. You maybe don't know. I think with the internet now, you can be like, I'll just look it up. So you're healing and you're coming in your spirit that helps support. So what you know and what you believe now is what helps your mind know what to think. And that's what it comes down to. Now, with Jupiter squaring that energy in Gemini, it's in your house of ego. So your ego is getting in the way a lot. It's trying to do the old thing. It's trying not to change. It's trying to do the easy way. Geminis always want the easy way. Sorry, you guys, just your brain wants to move fast and you want life to move fast. And sometimes the easy way is in the way. I'm not saying the cheap way. I'm just saying the fastest, So your ego comes sometimes in your mind because you have a Gemini ego. Your Gemini ego is sometimes fighting with the part of you about what you believe or what you don't believe. And you're getting in arguments about what you believe instead of just being the new thing. All right. Now, this is important to know that because you are in a Jupiter transit, I would remain extremely flexible about everything because this is an upgrade of the entire Gemini sign for the first time since 2012, 2013, or really 2013, 2014, excuse me. So you're getting an entire upgrade with Jupiter in Gemini. All right. Cancers. Cancers, you, interestingly enough, like Geminis, are getting a new intellectual upgrade. And you have become something in your mind, and you have allowed yourself to be trapped in your mind. And you have, in your mind, convinced you that this is the way it is. So Cancers are caught in this is the way it is. And Jupiter's, and now the sun's going in there, you're getting no, it's not. It's what you have become as a result of your childhood, as a result of this, as a result of your marriages, and what you become to yourself. So Cancers can be really hard on themselves. They can be really nasty and mean. I've seen it. I have a Cancer mom. They can be so brutal. And it's that internal conversation with yourself that needs to heal and get on board with enlightenment and start talking to yourself the right way. When that happens, you then start to clear all of your conversations and your connections and all these things in your life, all the way to what your attitude on life is. So this is a complete mental clear out that's happening with the sun in Virgo. This is great. Now in the Pisces area, the other side of this is you forgiving issues with your life, your personal beliefs, right? Your purpose in life. Excuse me, that's wrong. There we go. IP strategy. Yep. Basically, your purpose in life, what you're here to do, what you're here to educate. This is the spirituality where you have allowed yourself to be, carjacked. And I think Cancers and Cancer risings pretty much were just loyal kids. And so their parents were like, this is the way life is. They're like, okay, mama, okay, daddy, because Cancers really want to be the mama and want to be the daddy. So they're the ones to really download the belief structure of their priors. And as a result, now are finding themselves healing from it and coming out of it. That allows you to come out of being the wicked witch or the mean ghost to yourself in your mind. So to go ahead and let go of all the stuff around being wrong or all the stuff around beliefs and all the stuff around forgiveness, let all that all go. And instead, now allow yourself to talk to yourself differently and not play that old record of the belief structure. Now, when we have the square to Jupiter in Gemini, it comes down to faith. And where Cancers are expanding is in their faith. And you can see the architecture of it. I have to, make these timely, but you are stuck in your mind on this old broken record of Virgo, and Gemini rules your faith. And so basically, you haven't been able to expand your faith because your mind runs your faith. You have Gemini in the 12th house. Your mind is in control of your faith. If you don't think God's there, God's not there. If you think God's there, God's there. So Jupiter is stirring all that up and it's saying, hey, I've got to open up my faith because my thinking about faith is off and my thinking about myself is off. And this allows me to forgive my beliefs and my patterns that I've had over lifetimes that's caught my belief structure. I hope that was clear. And I actually realized I made a mistake for Gemini. So we're going to have to redo Gemini at the end. Just to give it Gemini. We're going to redo Gemini at the end because I got confused. It's funny with astrology, you're so sharp on interpretation that if information is off, you just run down the interpretation line faithfully. And if the data is wrong, the interpretation ends up being wrong. So I apologize, Geminis. We'll figure that out. Let's go on to our Cancers or Leos. We're just with Leos. Let's do it again. Leo. You guys are getting a live recording here. You're the studio audience. Leo, Virgo is your ability to think highly of yourself or not highly of yourself. And so Virgo conscious of what you become You've decided what you were worth. You have decided you become worthless, or you become valuable, or you become priceless. You become that with yourself. And the problem with your situation is that you draw in through your sun all these situations. If they're bad, if the situation you draw in is bad, you've become low of yourself. If the situation brings attention and glory and fabulous and views and likes, then you suddenly think highly of yourself. But you have allowed yourself to become valuable or not valuable by your audience, not by your choice. So the change here is, I'm going to choose what I'm worth. And you have some Leos who are just brazenly brave. You're like, boy, that thing, he sure thinks he loves himself, or she's, because they become valuable, and that's it. That tail is wagging, waving high in the back, and you're not going to mess with it, right? Now, the whole spectrum of this is, of course, you're going to become different with your money. You're going to become different with your investments. You're going to become profitable. You're going to become abundant. So this change of how you become with your soul core values transforms into everything you manifest. So this is probably the most important week of the year for you, because this makes or breaks your wallet. On the other side of this is personal boundaries. So the Pisces side is, all your karma comes from boundaries. Leos always have boundary issues. Their karma comes from sex, imprisonment, losing something, losing someone, death, issues around intimacy. It comes out through, can I change or can I not change? All these different things, right? And as a result of all these different things, you inevitably either decide you can change or can't change based on the wounds you've had around boundaries. So you've been forgiving your boundaries. You've been loosening them up. You've been opening up to things and closing down the things. And now that you can do that, now you've taken off the straitjacket of your own boundaries caused by your own damage. And now you can choose, without other parts of you arguing, what you're worth. So you want to defer to, it's okay. That's the magic words for you. It's okay. It's totally okay. I don't care. I don't care about it. I'm letting it go. And therefore, I'm worth $1 million. And that's what's going to happen. Now, the square to Jupiter is, as a result of your wounds and your values, you either thought you belonged on stage or didn't. So Jupiter and Gemini is saying, you don't belong here. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. Move on. I'm thinking of the Tom Petty song, Come Along Here No More. That ultimately, what you think you had to be in the world, not true. And so as a result, well, if that's not true, well then, squaring the Pisces energy and squaring the Virgo energy, really T-squaring that energy, well, then I can let this go and let that go, and then I can really make some money. So you are sort of detangling the inner stuff inside of you that's kept you from being on stage. And if Leos are on stage, then they're going to go world tour, most likely. Virgos! Happy birthday, Virgos. I do love you, by the way, very much. You, of course, it's your birthday. And so what you're changing in this first week is what you become to yourself. Have you become an a-hole to yourself? Become an angel to yourself? Become a servant to yourself? I become a servant to myself. I made myself, as I would say, I've worked for the worst boss in the world. He's an asshole. It's like, who do you work for? Work for myself. That's Virgo. You have not become something great to yourself. What you become to yourself is, I would say, not pretty. And that, no matter who you are, it can get prettier. It can be nicer. There can be more roses. So this isn't how you respond to yourself. When you say, oh, I'm an idiot, well, then you just became an idiot. You literally are, because you're the I become. If you put yourself down, you become it. You can't do it. That's a power. You're using your magic wand on yourself and turning yourself into a frog. So it's time to become who you want to become, not the person that you think will win the race, or make the most money, or make so-and-so happy, because there's an obsession there to make people happy. Another story. Now, on the other side of that is, the Pisces energy is, it's time to let go of all the cords and all the heated stuff and all the hard stuff around relationships. It's okay around relationships. The way you were with yourself, it's okay. You are learning to let all those relationship things go, all those cords go, so you can become this new person, the I become state of awareness. You can become someone different. And when you become someone different, someone else will come in. All right. Now, the Jupiter and Gemini square to that opposition is that you're thinking differently about the future. And so God Universe is scrambling your eggs to think differently about the future, have different ideas. When I said some people believe they can't, the world's this way and some are going to change, that's you. you're the one that does that the most. And so your mind needs to think differently about what's possible. I will just say happily, you're wrong. You are wrong. I know you're wrong because Jupiter's in that space. So when you're trying to become the new you and you're trying to be easy on you, also realize you're not so sure on what the future can be. It's a lot more greater, different, exciting than you may think, Jupiter. So watch your thoughts around whether or not it's encouraging your dreams or discouraging your dreams. That's ultimately, I think, the magic that you have to follow. Libras. Oh, Libras, I've been working with you a lot lately. We have a Libra on tonight as a guest. We had a Libra last week as a guest. I don't know. I smell something interesting. Libras, you are becoming something when it comes to faith in yourself. Having faith in yourself, you have, basically your faith is outgrown. You've outgrown your faith. This level of faith ain't going to cut it for the checks you're trying to cash. Okay. So you have to remove and forgive. This is backwards because you're Libra, the anti-Aries, right? And Aries is the anti-Libra. So it's backwards for the two of you. Between the two of you, you have to basically forgive and forget, because it's backwards, forgive and forget all of your faith issues, the things that made your faith happen, and give yourself a second chance and say, I don't care. I'm going to give myself a whole pardon. Everything will be fine. All right. Now, doing that is the Virgo, and it's detailed and it's tit for tat. Because you're Libra, you're like, I don't know, should I? You put yourself on. I love it how Libras put themselves on the stand to both witness, to testify, and to judge, which is abuse of power. We'll talk about that later. And so you might do that. You might put yourself as a witness and on the stand in your mind as you tit for tat, detail for detail, go back and forth. No, here, this evidence and that evidence. That's to you. And then you'll finally decide, boom, boom, not guilty, right? And that's what's going to happen this week. That's going to, I think, be the narrative. But also Pisces on the other side of that is saying, it's time for you to let all the things in your life that hurt you, all the pains, all the things that aren't compassionate, all the things that aren't sweet and kind and godlike, let them out of your life. Let it all go. It's okay that everything's a mess. It doesn't matter who cares. Like, it doesn't matter what you make, it doesn't matter, right? You've been too caught into that, and you've been too self-judgmental about your life. And so the universe is saying, who cares? It's all a virtual reality. What you're worried about what you made out of Legos? You're feeling bad about what you made out of Legos? Really? So you're going to let go of your certain attachments in life having to be this certain way. And as you find yourself having greater faith, you don't care as much, which is good to move on. Now, the square to Jupiter is very interesting because it's to your beliefs. And ultimately, you are getting a schooling from the universe because you, as an air sign, are very fixed in your beliefs, very fixed in the way it is and the way it isn't. And God's like, no, you're wrong. Actually, we're upgrading. The right's changing now. So the attraction's changing. Therefore, everything you believe is the old manual. And so maybe it isn't. Maybe we do come. Maybe dinosaurs didn't exist. Maybe we didn't land on the moon. Maybe, so there's lots of maybes that come in there. And those maybes have got to be tied into this faith versus reality thing. Because if you're trying to have faith in your reality and your brain's going, that's not possible. So you're being sort of stir-fried there. All right. I don't know where these terms are coming from. Whoever my guide is tonight is very funny. Very, very funny. Scorpio. Scorpio, you are actually working on your reputation in the end. It's time for you to be someone else in the world. But that means you have to be someone else to yourself. So I hear Scorpios all the time going, God, I hate having to be the one. I hate having to be the one that has to draw the line and tell them. I get this. You guys all deserve this because I've taken this speech from you so many times. God, it's such a burden to have to be the one to say no. I'm like, you came to this earth saying you belong there. You said that's what you are. You're the cop. Your I become is you're the one that has to do that. This conscious is you don't want to anymore. Don't do it. You don't have to be that person in the world anymore. You don't have to be who you said you had to be in the world anymore. That's what this is. You become someone in the world and you let it happen. And you let it happen because of Pisces. The Pisces energy is you were here with a broken heart. Every Scorpio has a bit of a broken heart. That's why Scorpios are so deep. And that's why they know their pain and they know their pleasure. Those are two opposites for them. And that sets up their polarity and their ability to draw lines. They draw lines from the ability to access pain versus pleasure. That's one way. There's other ways. Death versus life. They find two extremes. They map out between. Boom. They're a boundary master. So in your mapping out, you basically had a broken heart, as all Scorpios do. And as a result, you tried to be someone in society to fix your heart instead of just fixing your heart. So you are being encouraged to heal your heart, regardless of society. Give yourself the freedom to do whatever the F you want and do it. Now, here's the magic trick of God right now. If I can't say it, I can't say it enough. Jupiter in Gemini is lubricating, and that's a very appropriate term, lubricating your boundaries right now. And so you are suddenly not so stuck on it. You're not so insistent on something. Your mind is considering, well, maybe there's two ways to skin a cat, or maybe I can do it a different way. Whereas before, you just double down. No, this is the way it is, right? And use your boundary energy to enforce that. But what if it was wrong, based on wrong data, like I just did with the Gemini? I just did the wrong Gemini. It was based on the wrong data. You could be doubling down on the wrong data. So the universe is saying to you, lighten up. It's time for your heart to have joy. It's time for you to be who you want to be in the world. And it's time for you to be easy and not such a hard ass on yourself with your boundaries. Be more flexible. Be a jail warden that swings the keys and has a good time, right? Oh, swings the keys. We just lost half our light and things got more shadowy. That's great for Scorpio. All right, let's move on. Again, Mercury retrograde has been a nut house for me with stuff breaking and all this stuff. I'll fix it in the intermission. This one light keeps falling over. It's killing me. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you are now really deciding that you are to discipline yourself and head for a new career and a new legacy. So Sagittarius are officially changing their legacy, but they're going to do it by first changing what they make themselves do. So Sagittarius are also slave drivers. They make themselves do it. They're Virgo conscious, anal retentive about getting it done. And I've seen a Sagittarius go from drunk at a party at 4 to at work at 8 a.m. Okay. That is Virgo in the first decan of the 10th house. That's impressive, right? And that's 2 nights in a row. You know what I mean? So you are now going to rewire, that sort of, I don't know, bitter nun or priest over you that is crossing its arms over you and making you do it. And you're going to re-archetype what you become as far as a slave driver or a bully, or maybe pushing too hard, or maybe taking on too many things. These are other ways that you can sort of abuse your responsibility to the world. And you're going to rewire that and no longer become, this slave driver or whatever to yourself, right? When it comes to career, legacy, or children. Got to say, children come into this too. Being a good father, being a good mother. I got to be because my parents weren't. Okay, maybe you are though already. Maybe it's enough. Maybe the kids are happy. Now, the counter side of this is your home and family. It's interesting because Sagittarius also came from a bad home and family, guaranteed. All their karma comes from family. And doesn't everyone's karma come from family? Yes, but Sagittarius, it's more than that. That's why they're kind of lucky in society, because they don't run into many foes in society. They put them all in one house. They call it home. So you're healing, and letting go of your emotional pain, your drama, the stuff you've had since childhood. And because you're letting go of that, it's freeing your choices, because you were making those choices based on avoiding it happening again. And now you can make those choices on feeling at peace and feeling centered in yourself. So this is the dynamic of Pisces and Virgo. The more you are forgiving of yourself and your feelings, the more you let those feelings go, let the anger go, let this go, let that go, then you actually will have open eyes to make the right choices of who you want to become to yourself, and then who you're not becoming once you go into your legacy and your career. You'll become a whole different person in the office when you're a new person to yourself. And I know you're already the light of the party, but you're not actually sharing with the world who you really are. We know it, by the way. Just saying. You've been hiding stuff. You've been playing the part perfectly. Now, Jupiter in this whole thing happens with relationships. Sagittarius are huge relationship people. They love everybody. And you have a lot of thinking about how relationships should go, but your thinking about how relationships should go was all based on avoiding your parents, avoiding your family, avoiding your pain. So your laws of relating are outdated. You're getting new thoughtware on how to relate. You're sort of officially joining a dating app, according to Jupiter. So this has to be tied into your emotional growth and being open and easy. Don't let your relationships get in the way of your career. Don't let your career get in the way of your relationships. Capricorns. We do that for the graphics. You are now reprogramming what you believe about yourself. We're going to talk about this dynamic, but you have all sorts of tits for tats and lots of details. Here's why I'm good and here's why I'm not. It's almost like, Capricorns have like basically a resume all the time, and their resume is constantly upgrading what they believe or not believe. And then it's like a Bible. They don't change it. Virgo, what you become, sticky, hard, right? This is it, matter. So you're rewriting what you believe about yourself. It's not that you were wrong. It's that you believe this based on your karma. Your karma is Pisces, and the Pisces is money. So yes, I mean, your thoughts, excuse me, your thoughts. I always said money, but that's interesting. We'll talk about that. So your thoughts, your mind, your merciless mind, your mind that is hard on yourself, your mind that judges yourself, your mind that judges others, your mind that judges the world, your mind that can be judgmental, period, is Pisces. And that mind was all based on the karma. Your mind was taking those attitudes because you've been burned, hurt, burned at the stake, crucified, all these types of things in past lives. So that's why your mind was full of bitterness. And we all know the bitter Capricorn, a lot of bitter Capricorns before Pluto and Capricorn. You notice how happier Capricorns are that Pluto ran over through their energy? Because they became nicer to themselves. Their ego had to stop hitting themselves. So once you forgive all that thinking and all that, pollution of past life energy, then you can believe what you want. You're not believing to satisfy this karma. You can believe what you want as a result. So this brings us to the Jupiter and Gemini aspect, which is that Jupiter and Gemini is helping you to change what you think about life. Your idea of what life is life in an office building? Is life working from home? Is life wearing, wearing a mask? Is life living on the, using the subway? What is life like? And so remember, your mind, Gemini, is what Gemini ruler. Your mind was full of karma and all sorts of stuff. So you created a Gemini life that was a reflection, 100% Xerox copy of your karma. So you're rearranging your life and what you think about life and what you think about the quality of life. And I have a little prediction here. I think that we're going to have, as far as work-life balance, Capricorns rule the work. So if they want work-life balance, watch out. It's going to start rolling out to a theater near you. All right, next one. Aquarius. Aquarius, you are changing your trust in yourself. So you are damned anal retentive about opening up. You have such a combination to the lock. It's beyond encryption. It's beyond encryption. Your encryption is encrypted. And that's because you've got this 1,000,000-point combination to the safe. All these reasons. And by the way, if you're not having fun in your sex life, that's why. There's too much data, right? So the data of all the safes and the passwords to all the different doors of everything are jammed, especially about trusting yourself and where you draw the line with yourself. Too much data, too many details, not relevant anymore. So this is going to be a week where you realize, well, maybe I'll move. Maybe I don't have to be a grump on myself. Maybe I don't have to do that to myself. Maybe I don't have to do that to myself. You're going to rewire all these details or all these passwords and just kind of open up literally and just decide, well, let's open up and just see, right? Let's just open up and see. Now that is going to heal you because you have become those boundaries. You have become the prisoner. You become the captor, the prison ward, right? You become the warden. That's the word I was looking for 5 times. You become the warden of your own jail, of your own rules, of your own jail bars. You've squeezed yourself out of the world. I think it's because you were freaks and you would have been killed. And through the dark ages, the Aquarius vibration shut down. And I think that this Virgo is the shutdown of how Aquarius was shut down. How do we lose Aquarius energy and go into the dark ages? Aquariuses were killed, mutilated, all these things for being wizards, and y'all were shut down. And so the conscious. So you are opening up literally. The key to that is Pisces. And Pisces is opposing that, which is your self-worth. And the self-worth aspect is, to go ahead and forgive yourself for everything. A full pardon from the warden. So the warden needs to pardon all the prisoners of yourself. The things why you're not worthy, you're not enough, you don't have enough. I don't have a master's in this, and all these details of why you're not worth it. And they're probably true, but they don't have to be because you are the magician of your life. So you are letting all that go of the whole self-worth thing, giving yourself a full pardon, and therefore opening up the jail that you put yourself in. And we all do it on ourselves. So we're all guilty of that. Now, Jupiter in Gemini is also saying, hey, it's time to change how you love, how you create when you bring access to love and creation to life. It's time to change love. And so you're also changing your ideas about love, creativity, things you can do. And this is just, a flavoring. Basically, you're letting yourself out from jail and you're sort of sprinkling some fairy dust and glitter to kind of spark up the heart and get that heart fired up again because you've got things to do. Jupiter in Gemini says that it's time for Aquarius's dreams to come true. And first they let themselves out of the prison so they can go do it. All right. And then Pisces. Pisces, you are changing because this is your anti-birthday to you. You are ultimately changing all of the things that you think you have to be to yourself. You got to be this to yourself. You got to be that to yourself. And not only do you think you have to be to yourself, here's the thing. Excuse me. Pisces are generally, I wouldn't say lazy. I'd say relaxed. You're relaxed. You're very relaxed. And the irony is you're very relaxed, but you put all this expectation on you and all these details of what you have to be. And so if you're going to be a slave driver, but you don't want to do the work, you're in a real conundrum. And that is the Pisces today. So it's time to remove all the things you have to be to yourself, all the details of what's right and what's not right and how you screwed up and all the report card stuff. You basically just say to yourself, you know what? I'm starting over with myself. It's cool. Right? Now, the Pisces side is to forgive all of your bad behavior. Now, I'm not saying you have bad behavior. I'm saying you say you have bad behavior and you're judging your behavior. I don't care what the public thinks or other people or your wife or your husband or whatever. You're obviously entertaining the idea. So because you have not let go and forgiven yourself for your mistakes, you cannot rewrite your jail warden laws to yourself. You can't write all those details. You can't create new details for yourself. So you got to forgive yourself for bad behavior with yourself and rewrite how it is to what you become to yourself in the end. Now, Jupiter in Gemini says you also have to reconcile that with how you think you feel. You think you feel this way? Well, maybe you feel this way. Maybe you should think about it that way. So you're really stirring the pot and growing out of your emotional baggage from childhood and whatnot, and thinking differently about childhood, thinking differently about what you emotionally need, thinking about your emotions. I think one of the problems about Pisces is they think about their emotions, they don't feel them. That we'll leave that off for another day. I'm just fighting with Mercury and I'm going to win right here with these stumbling in my words. But at the end of the day, you've got to articulate the ego, how you are to yourself and how you feel about yourself. In a way, for you, it's a triangulation of making sure that ego, self-approach, and how you feel are all in synergy. And when you change the way you think about yourself and how you feel about your feelings, that's kind of the lubricant. So if you're stuck, how are you feeling? And what are you thinking about how you feel? That's where the kind of the fulcrum is of that. Okay. And then I want to do Gemini again from the top. We're just going to play like this is a studio. Gemini, you are expanding and breaking free of all of your data points and all of your data knowledge around how you feel. So Geminis clog up their arteries by constantly creating like almost all these files in their self. Virgo is how they feel. And so they create all this, I have this feeling and this feeling, that feeling, this feeling, and they just store it like as a data record inside themselves. And ultimately, suddenly they are drowned by the data or depressed by the data. The data is the time mom did this, the time dad did this time, that time, this time. I know because I'm a father of a Gemini. So I've seen it up close, but I've also known other Geminis who will tell me the same thing when I talk to them. All these reasons why they feel the way they do. And you guys get stuck in the reasons and you never free yourself from the feelings because your brain is firing off and getting off, frankly. You love to think. You're getting off on all the details you get to think about when it comes to that. So it's time to defrag that emotional hard drive. It's time to let it go and let it flow. Forgive, let the data go, delete it, reformat the hard drive. How you think about your feelings, clean slate. Now, part of the reason for this is the Pisces side of this is you've, as a result of your emotional pain that you ignored, you made a lot of bad decisions. A lot of bad decisions. I shouldn't have bought that Ferrari when I was only 10. Shouldn't have, all these bad decisions that led you down the wrong paths that made you maybe not happy. Geminis that I meet, they're not necessarily happy with their career, where their career's gone. I'm not saying anything's happened. I'm saying karma. You went running off in those career directions because you were running away from your pain and running away from your emotions. You rather do the data. So this whole week is about removing all those ideas and facts and data about how you feel. And it's okay. So what? I screwed up. So what? And giving yourself that, I don't care. It's not going on my record because I said so. I felt so. And so it is. That's ultimately what happened. You just do a data dump and let go of anything, any mistake, any bad choice. Who cares? We'll just call it beta. That's the beta version of you. And we'll move on to the next alpha or whatever. Now, Jupiter is in your sign. This is why I wanted to redo the horoscope to make sure I did it right. You have unlimited possibilities about what you can do right now. You are so fired up. Jupiter's giving you all sorts of ideas. Basically, Jupiter's just giving you a firestorm, a brainstorm of all potential. Oh, I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. It's literally freeing you from your own mental neural networks and your associated ego behavior that comes with it. So you have to think right, you have to act right, you have to forgive your mistakes, and you have to feel good. That's the ultimate connection. And you'll find that if you misbehave with yourself or you misbehave with others, it's going to sort of create this huge stomach, kind of in the stomach issue, because you know you're not doing and thinking for what's best for your feelings and for your career and where you're going. But ultimately, it's about getting deep with how you feel about yourself and letting it go. All right. Well, friends, it's time to move on. We're going to do here. Let me just scream around. We are now going to move on for a little intermission. We're going to change sets and move on forward. We're going to have an intermission of the Namaste, our zodiac weather. And coming up is Jennifer Mulholland. We're going to talk about business, spirituality, and conscious capitalism. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. I'll see you in about 4 minutes or so, maybe a little more. This zodiac weather is from Saturday, August 24th to Friday, August 30th, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend forecast, the weekend really is the kickoff to the Virgo season. You're going to connect to your heart, and your emotions may have something to say. On Saturday, it's sunny and active. Step 1 means the sun rules the day. This is the day of becoming the self-love. You're moving forward with your new big vision of the life you want to create on the inside of you. And with Mars sextiling Chiron, you're also ready to feel better about the future. On Sunday, it's cloudy and grounded. Step 2 means the moon rules the day, but the moon is in Taurus for most of the day, so you are feeling grounded. But later, you become moody as you face feelings and thoughts when the moon moves into Gemini. You're basically breaking down all future options. Then zipping ahead to the 5-day weekday forecast, over the week you are discovering what you have become before and what you want to become next. On Monday, it's sunny and pensive. Step 3 means Jupiter rules the day. You are becoming wiser as you expand your belief structure. The moon in Gemini helps you articulate and get to the bottom of what you mean. And all this comes down to reshaping your vision for the future. On Tuesday, it's sunny and learning. That's because step 4 brings Uranus ruling the day. I become rattled as a result and adopt a new mantra. The moon in Gemini helps you to communicate what's going on, and Venus trines Uranus to rattle your perception of the future. Moving on to Hump Day Wednesday, cloudy and sensitive is our prediction for the day. Step 5 means Mercury is the ruling step, or the I think state of awareness. As a result, I become clear, proceeding forward with your fate. The moon is in Cancer though, so things get a little moody and the planets are kicking in. Venus opposes Neptune, creating the possibility for delusion, but Mercury stations direct to help you clear it up. On Thursday, it's sunny and nurturing. Step 6 means Venus rules the day. I become restored as a result. You are feeling through all the shifts you've gone through, and the moon in Cancer now becomes quite nurturing. Venus on this day does enter into Libra, opening up to infinite potential for balance and harmony. Venus trines Pluto, opening your life to a higher vibration, and Juno opposes the North Node, which means it's time to get busy about leaving behind the past. And then on Friday, it's cloudy but clear. Step 7 means Neptune rules the day. Intuition is strong, and as a result, I become realized. And inspiration has become real on this day. The moon finishes up in Cancer and shifts into Leo, which means you move into the weekend in your heart.
It's serious joy.
Welcome to ASTRO Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented light workers and innovative influencers of our time. One of the big obstacles we have to enlightenment on Earth is the current corporate approach to human beings and their exploitation. Tonight's guest is bringing the light to conscious capitalism. Jennifer Mulholland is an author, strategist, executive coach, and co-owner of Plenty Consulting. From a very young age, she's been dedicated to raising the consciousness of the people of the planet. And for the last decade, she and her business partner, Jeff Shuck, have helped thousands of conscious leaders and businesses grow in revenue, grow in impact, and fulfillment. So please, you can find them at plentyconsulting.com. Send some waves of love and gratitude as I welcome wholeheartedly
Step 18 Libra, Jennifer Mulholland. Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be here.
Well, thank you. And I didn't realize till just before the show, you're a step 18. That's like golden red carpet here because I'm an 18. So I've got to clarify.
Oh, fun.
It's nice to meet you. It's such a
No
pleasure.
coincidences.
I looked, I dove into your site, and you have so much and do so much. First, how would you describe your role on Earth? Where do you see yourself? Because it seems like you have put in so many different flavors that you are aiming for something that only you know.
Yes, and it's hard to say succinctly.
That's why I'm making you do it.
Yeah, I think, well, in my career at Plenty Consulting, we help conscious businesses and conscious leaders grow. So that's like the aim. We're all growing. Growth is our natural state. But we love to work with conscious people and help raise their consciousness to do good and do well in the world. Individually, I've always been wired for helping raise the consciousness of people on the planet, and fell in love with different healing modalities at a really young age. And I can share that later, but I love weaving spiritual tools, alchemy, the right brain and the left brain into business, into leadership, and into human beingness. In a nutshell. So yeah, I'm a weaver, and I love raising the energy, the vibe, uplifting it, the alchemy of taking the shit and converting it to a really high state of being and positivity. So that's my lean, and that's our lean at Plenty, is really helping people drop from their heads to their hearts.
Yep.
And be on purpose with why they're here, and align their individual purpose with their company's purpose.
I love that. I'm just going to jump in. I guess it has to be a small company.
Yeah, it's a small boutique firm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because, you're not telling the board of directors that they need to find their inner child.
Well, we have some really big clients. We work with some of the largest brands in the world. We've been really fortunate to work our way by word of mouth to do the strategic planning, the culture work, the leadership development for a lot of incredible purpose brands that you know of in the for-profit and the large nonprofit sector. Yeah, so
it sounds like $1 million client list. As far as knowing who cares in their heart and who doesn't.
There's just incredible people. All it takes is one executive or decision maker to say that the old ways we've been doing business aren't working anymore. And so we are willing to slow down and get off the hamster wheel and come to Park City. We have a retreat center called Heart Space at the base of beautiful mountains, and the executives and leaders that are willing to kind of invest in their team and in their employees and take them out of their environment to slow down and tune into nature and really drop into meaningful, honest, authentic, real conversation to figure out where they want to go, or to talk about how they really kind of take care of each other in terms of the well-being of the company, or how they grow their leaders. Oftentimes we do a lot of that work here, or we'll go on site to them. But there's conscious leaders and conscious people everywhere. Hence your show. It's just so fun to listen to, and watch the chat, and people, including myself, so interested in astrology and the stars and the planets and the alignment. I think for so long that's just been definitely part of the closet speak. That
I know.
You can't talk about it in business, and so loving bringing that forward.
And serious joy, I'll just capitalize on this moment. We're really interested in using the power of our observation to go into business too, like to provide the tools to see into the person. How did you get started with business? Because honestly, I'll say my real agenda is helping change the business world, because I feel like all the transactions are there. First of all, as far as healing the world, you've got a captured employee. Captured says they got to be there. This is our moment. It's not public schools. It's in the employers. This is the moment to help people grow, invest in people. I think that's the magic slippery spot. So I think you've gone straight for the heart of how to change the world, honestly.
Thank you.
Now, how'd you aim for such an IBM, Microsoft kind of thing? What drew you to that particular market?
That's so interesting. I'm not sure. I think I've always been wired for human potential. Since I was a little girl, I've been on the personal growth path. And when my business partner, Jeff, and I reacquainted over like 11 years ago now, when we merged our efforts to create Plenty, the intention, we were already doing business consulting and executive coaching separately. And so I think, the path that I took was I founded and brought women's lacrosse to the state of Utah. So I'm a two-sport college D1 athlete. When I moved to Utah from the East, there was no lacrosse for women in 1995. And I've been wired for get shit done, go for it, entrepreneurial spirit. And
Step 18 preach. That's a step 18 preach. Go ahead.
As an athlete, I loved the sport of lacrosse. My both kids play it now, but I learned teamwork. I learned leadership, and I learned initiative. And I really felt like that wasn't only a place on the field. That absolutely shaped the businesswoman I was then and I am today. So that kind of led me, I got burnt out after about 5 years of running and growing that, and went into corporate America in the boom tech days. And in a startup digital campus company, we were wiring universities and colleges worldwide. And I kind of climbed the ladder for 10 years and became their innovation officer and head of consulting. And had a fucking awesome job. I mean, I loved it. I ran a global team. I traveled. I felt like I was doing good work, but it wasn't satiating my soul. And I was spiritually in the closet. It was not safe back in those days. I'm dating myself.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's just woo woo. It was like, to talk about mediums and psychics and my healing training. It just was not accepted or cool to talk about. And it was really scary, to be honest. I mean, it was scary to bring that in an open way. So
I think as a woman too, it's redefining the power of a woman in the office place was happening at the same time.
Yeah. So that led me, after a while, I just my body started to speak to me. I won't go into that whole story, but my body kind of gave me a wake-up call to pay attention. And I had a lot of support and dove myself into a whole bunch of other healing trainings, and came out of it being like, okay, I want to do this, for myself and help other people grow, coach other people, bring my coaching athletic background into the business world. And it's been wonderful. And our work, to answer your question, has been so word of mouth, and it's all about relationships. Jeff, my business partner, spent a lot of time in the nonprofit sector, especially in the field of cancer. And we blended our appetite for strategy and leadership and well-being and spirituality into the work that we do for the largest ice cream companies in the world, the largest spirit companies in the world, insurance companies, most of the name brand cancer hospitals. We really help their fundraising and philanthropy. So, and I don't know how it's all worked. It's been a zigzag. It's been a lot of leaps, and Indiana Jones trusting the
totally. So when you're going in, it sounds like you're consulting on common business things. Are you going in? How are you injecting spirit into an organization?
Yeah, well, when we begin, it takes discretion, right? To read the vibe of the room. The biggest thing that we do is to create sacred, safe space. And we can do that. We don't have to do that at Heart Space in Park City. We can do that anywhere. But it's the energy and the presence we bring that sets the container for people to start to open up. Every organization is made up of a human being, and every human being wants to be seen, served, heard, and supported. And we create that container,
An environment
for that to do that with some ground rules, just by the presence that we show up with. And then often after we kind of get into the icebreakers and get the jitters out and get people meeting and greeting, I'll guide people into a meditation. I love channeling. And so I will ask everybody to close their eyes. If they don't, that's okay. Do this for thousands of people on stages, to intimate boardrooms, because it helps people to tune into their own wisdom, as you know, right? Instead of like responding in behavior of the relationships of their coworkers. So really helping people to individually arrive with their full presence, drop into their heart, their inner light, and usually guide them on a journey so that they can kind of de-stress, let the shit go, so they can be completely available for what the purpose is for being there. Now, maybe it's to solve a problem. Maybe it's to create their values, vision, and mission. Maybe it's to address turnover and burnout. Whatever it is, getting people to drop from their heads to their hearts and literally come up with their own answer first. So we have them reflect, and then share with one person next to them, and then share with a smaller group, and then bubble up in the room. So a lot of it is like facilitating a safe environment for people to drop in. And it's so fun because our biggest skeptics always tend to they get their greatest converters. They're like, this is like weird. And they come in with all this, and they're like the closet meditators, or they it's just so funny.
Well, they were resisting so hard. Yeah. So I've been in corporate, I've had consultants come in. Yeah, it feels good for 3 or 4 days, and then we're back to our bullshit. Do you integrate with like human resource policy? Does it go into the backbone of the corporation and become the new way of exchange amongst each other? Can it go that far? I mean, I don't know if a company will allow that kind of, but I feel like a company needs to build policy around the stuff you do. Does that happen very often?
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, it's really neat to see the organizations we've worked with 6 years later are still going back to what we've created together. And they're living by it. And it's simple. It's not this 20-page, 50-page strategic plan. It is embodied. And then, our logo is a ripple. So we always talk about starting at the center and then winning the building. So there's a lot of work on, if people weren't involved in the process, to make sure that the next ring and the next ring is bought in, and then it becomes an embodiment of the values, of the way of operating, of certain principles. It takes time, but if the leader is bought in, and the team, the executive team, or the team that was involved is empowered to infiltrate human resource policy. Or, great example, one of our insurance companies put their whole strategy on their website, changed everything, and it positioned them for incredible competitive advantage and success. And they keep on referring that their homepage, their webpage, is the strategy book. That's the playbook. And so it wasn't an internal document or experience, and then a disconnect with the external. So yeah, I think embodying it, living it. Oftentimes we, in our work though, we'll just say we have a leadership retreat called Lantern, where leaders come from all over the world and drop in for 4 days and connect to their light and really get clear on what their individual purpose and passion and highest possibility is. When people have those reattunements, they don't all stay at the company. So
right, that's really the other thing I was going to talk about.
The work that we do, it's very empowering for the employee to say, "Ooh, I'm out of alignment here." And it's great because the company, you want people who are in alignment with what you're there for, right?
Right. And it goes back to HR policy. Like, first of all, let me share. I mean, I think we just had the most karmic year probably of the year astrologically in 30 years, probably the most karmic year. What I mean by that is people shit came up.
Yeah.
And and what happens in our organization is we see it on our coworkers. And I can see this popcorn machine happen where, oh, she stepped on his step toe and then his sore toe, then, actually burned it in the microwave. And you have this sort of ping pong thing where karma's setting off karma, and companies are running things not emotionally at all. Keep it at the door. We don't talk about those things. Just be professional. Do you do any sort of like, relationship, get along policy? Or because I find that companies don't have any policy on how to get along or what the policy is of how to treat one another. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, we've gone into some toxic cultures, and it's unbelievable what's happening. I would say it's a lot better. And oftentimes it's tolerated, and that's part of the problem. And people deserve to be happy, and they're not. They're burnout, they're overworked, they're exhausted in many cases, and they're not really being seen and served and supported as whole human beings. And so that's the crux of it, right? But for the organizations that really want to see people for who they are, all of who they are, what they can bring, they invest in those people. They invest in their team to figure out what lights them up. What are they passionate about? Where do they lean in? What are they great at? And then does that align to the need of the team or the need of the business? We call that the trinity of alignment. That's what makes high-performing cultures and teams. But oftentimes, a lot of our work is helping in that situation, the individuals and the group become aware of what's happening. Like, what behavior is draining? What behavior is causing dysfunction? What behavior is toxic? Oftentimes they're not, they're talking at the water cooler. There's a lot of behind the back kind of shit.
Chat rooms,
we
on
have
apps.
all that, right? And we've had the ability to surface, we call them icebergs and lighthouses, through our assessments. So usually we'll always send a culture assessment or a leadership assessment before we work with an organization or an individual. And it really gets to the truth quick because it's anonymous. And so we get to see where are the sticky issues that nobody wants to talk about. We have a question on one of our surveys called the 5 Keys assessment that says, describe yourself in one word and describe the company in one word. And you get a really fascinating word cloud around what kind of culture is this company, right? And then how does the team perceive themselves individually? And then then we go right to that. I mean, usually not on night 1, but on day 2, we are in the icebergs, rolling up our sleeves and going right there. And people will go there if you create a safe environment for people to feel like it's okay to share that they're not going to get fired the next day.
Oh yeah. Create that boundary and because people won't be honest. They'll like when people give a survey to me, I fill out according to what I think they want to hear. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. I think we all do that to be pleasers. Now you've actually been diving deep into conscious leadership. You wrote a book called Leading with Light, Choosing Conscious Leadership when you're ready for more.
Yes.
What does the phrase leading with light mean to you? What does that mean?
Well, a leader is a light in the world. A leader is a light for ourselves, most importantly, and anyone we're in relationship with. The spirit, you can call it spirit essence, your juju, your vibe, your true essence is what light is. And the idea behind Leading with Light is helping conscious leaders all over the world become more aware of their light, become more aligned to it, and then be intentional with how they show up, where they show up, and who they show up with.
How do you talk them into their light? How's that defined in a corporate, I work with these guys and women too, but
Yeah.
especially the guys are very rigid about ideas like that. How do you, what's the approach there?
Yeah. So essentially kind of comes back to how we define what conscious leadership is.
Okay.
Conscious leadership is being an aware, aligned, and intentional, and aware of like the synchronicities, the flow outside of you, the random person that you think about and they call you the next day. It's also awareness of how your body's speaking to you. Do you get sick to your stomach when you want to avoid something? Do you procrastinate? Do you close your arms when you're stressed? Do you open up and lean in? For me, when I public speak, I get really red in the chest. And I used to cover that up. And now it's like, fuck it. This is what my body does, right? My body is generating blood flow, energy, vitality, because I'm excited for what I'm talking about. So awareness is becoming really aware of self. And then when you can become aware of yourself, you have more attunement with those you're in relationship with and those with whom you lead. And then once you're aware, that leads to being aligned. So we all wear a lot of hats and we play a lot of roles. Not all of those roles are really aligned to our true soul print, our true purpose, our true care, why we're here. We call all those things your light, your soul, your essence. You can call it God, you can call it, divine, the divine, whatever your name for it is. We just happen to call it light.
No, I think light is great.
Yeah, it's something that's like agnostic too, that's not religious, but I think spiritual beings, we all have different names and labels that we use to identify what is that we are all made up of, and what is the higher light that's guiding us that we are all a part of as well. So the book is about helping people really navigate their way by being more of themselves. It's so aligned with what you just shared in all of our horoscopes. This is not a book that's going to tell you how to become a better leader. It's about being more of you. And who are you? What do you give a shit about? What do you light up about? What do you not like to do? And giving yourself permission to follow that. So constructed, there's like 4 principles of helping people navigate the decision points of the uncertain path. And there's a lot of spiritual exercises in here of helping people ground their awareness, ground their alignment, and ground their intention.
Excellent. So it sounds like this sort of helping them to find a place in themselves that brings their best self forward. Is what it sounds like. I mean, what I'm traversing is like, we're in a corporate world, all the religions, all different theories of spirituality. How do you define soul and spirituality in that world? And it sounds like you've come up with a great formula for them to embrace the essence and then respect it.
Yeah, it's a lot of the book material came from leading Lantern, which is our leadership retreat. We're coming up on our 20th class, our 10th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a Taurus number 2. It's abundance.
Yeah. And it's magic, honestly. Like, it's amazing to see what happens when strangers come and spend time with themselves and each other and learn how to mirror and reflect and ask simple questions and give themselves permission to really entertain, like, what could be, what am I here for? What comes natural to me? What's hard? And that idea of when people come in stressed, like, there's stress everywhere. There's just so much happening and coming at us, right? And lots changing more than ever, as you know, more than ever. And so the idea for the book and the retreat is to help give people a salve, comfort, care, calm, to find the inner peace of being themselves. And it's wrapped with a lot of personal stories and client stories of how other clients and companies have found that. And I think that's certainly what I'm looking for in life, is to find more and be more peace, and to weave that, and there's such a need for it all over, whether it's in corporate America or personal lives.
It's the biggest. I mean, it's an untapped market, infinite. No one's done the work. Most of the, I mean, I don't say no one, but for the most part, religions and things have taken us in different directions other than finding ourselves. School took us, we have not found ourselves. We don't know who we are. That's why astrology business works. It's self-realization. People didn't realize, so you're doing, I think, the most important work and the first step, I feel, towards, people got to know themselves. You also are the co-founder of Plenty Consulting. So how does your consulting business, being a teacher of light, a leader of light, how does Plenty Consulting implement their own policies?
Yeah, love it. Oh goodness. I mean, the whole thing is practicing what we preach, honestly. It's really about being as present as possible with the clients we serve. We do a lot of executive coaching over Zooms and a lot of consulting and facilitating experiences in person. And oftentimes that practice of bringing your full attention and presence to someone, not being scripted, being available, learning to listen, asking, helpful questions, has been the beauty and the beast of the practice. Learning to co-lead with Jeff. I mean, we met 25 years ago. We're not married. We're married to different people. We have a best friendship, but learning to co-lead with somebody else, and we oftentimes co-speak and co-present, and finding that dance and that flow with somebody else. It took a long time to practice not stepping on each other's toes, and who wanted to speak more, and interrupting each other and that kind of thing. So a lot of it is awareness of what your individual need is, and then how do you collaborate and co-create and co-lead with another human being to make a difference in the world. And that's been a big part of the practice.
And so with your consulting, are you going in, what does that arm look like? This is where you're going into businesses and you're implementing these ideas and exercises?
So I'll give you a couple of examples.
I was going to ask for an example. Yeah.
So one of our clients is Fred Hutch Cancer Center in Seattle. And so we have helped with their philanthropy strategy in 2020. We actually were going to have them all come here, and then we did everything online. So we helped them create their whole strategic plan for how they were going to grow their philanthropy and fundraising arm, specifically Obliteride, which is this ride and run and walk for raising funds to cure cancer and infectious disease. And so our consulting included workshops, facilitation of their strategy, a lot of data analytics with their fundraising, and advising them on how to grow their program in revenue, like we talked about, making a positive impact, and then making sure that the people aren't burnt out, right? That they are fulfilled in their jobs. So several of them came to our leadership retreat as we are facilitating and being on call, if you will. We work with them every other week. We're on calls, coaching their executive team on decisions and implementing the strategy over the last 4 years.
Okay. So helping people lighten up, literally. What happened tell us about COVID and how you felt COVID was actually a way for people to recognize how they compartmentalize their life. Like that I do think COVID did have a huge wake up call. One thing I'll just say is it seems like after COVID, we were no longer in the rat race.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I think it's still lingering a bit, this idea that we have a personal and professional life. Like, we don't. We never did. We live one life. We're the common denominator. It may not be safe for you to bring your personal life to work,
Mm-hmm.
vice versa, but holding those two containers is exhausting and it drains the life force out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, unless that's working for you. So it may be working for some people. I would bet it doesn't work for most. During COVID, that just blew up, right? I mean, on Zooms, and you had kids and cats, and it was just all melded. And so I think that was a big kind of crisis point where all of a sudden the remote work and how tiring actually it is to be on camera, on Zoom all day long. Like,
see, guys,
from an energy standpoint, you're living that. I mean,
it's like being a CNN anchor and not getting a break.
Yeah. And part of living and like fueling our life force, our light force, and fueling the purpose of the cause, the company that we're a part of, is ensuring that we have enough vitality and energy throughout the day to want to bring that forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tricky, that a lot of the online, and it's still rampant today. I mean, we work with clients all the time that are just Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. There's no breaks, and they default on the hour calendar instead of 45 minutes. So they don't have any, break time. So
right.
I think that was another crisis that's continued to linger. In terms of our business, it like completely shut down. I mean, we had huge contracts and it was like everything stopped. So we had to really learn and adjust and be responsive to what do we want to do. And we quickly spun up a Corona Care Facebook community and just were available for people, coaching and, putting work into some of the programs that we have today.
Yeah, it was an interesting moment. And, Serious Joy was just business as usual. We've always been remote. So I think we served as we were a grounding force in that sense, because we had sort of worked that detail out and being able to come together. So I saw it's interesting. And now we're being pushed back in the office. What are you picking up in that front? Because that's also, no one wants to go. Everyone's fighting.
A lot of resistance.
Wow. Like, don't make me go back to work. It's like you spoiled the whole, work for the man. It was broken. That spirit is broken now. There's waiters there's restaurants that can't find waiters. There's not enough, people don't want to work. I don't really think in the money, but will the office culture ever come back?
I don't know. I think we're definitely seeing a ton of resistance, and it's being required. So there is something to the human connection that it's not replaceable with technology. There is an energetic exchange that we have, and we're meant to commune flesh to flesh, yes. And I think as we're moving into kind of hybrid beingness, we need to learn to be able to use tools, use AI, use different applications to be able to complement, sustain. But when we get too dependent upon one, I think we kind of, we get lopsided, and people are needing that in-person nourishment. I think there's got to be a better way. I really believe that the wisdom is in the collective. And I wish that more employers would invite their employees in to co-create a better solution that can work for everybody, instead of the top-down hierarchical, this is what we're going to do. And that sucks. If you're on the bottom end of that, and then you are going to lose your job if you don't come into work, like that, it's tough, right? So I think there is a movement to hybrid, and I would love to see more companies find a cadence that works for their people and invest more in these kind of sprints of getting the team together to do drop-in deep work, real deep work, not meeting work, deep transformative conversations, planning, solving the issues in these 2 to 3 days. And then the efficiency that's created by doing that is night and day, but not many do that on a regular basis. The ones that are doing it are growing so quickly. It works.
Yeah, I mean, take this moment of and take advantage of it, reorganize, do things differently after COVID. It is an opportunity, I think, to be seized. Going back to a comment you made about separating work life and home life, and that was sort of a we have to stop that. It's not appropriate. What's the alternative? Like, does that mean? I mean, is it because we have situations already? It's like employees that worked in restaurants, right? The highest drama in the universe as far as all the waiters and waitresses in the back room and everything going on in the spews and things. And it's like they're bringing their personal life to work. They're talking, they're mad about their husband. They're mad about, this happened. He's mad that this happened. And then in the exchange there, that personal life to work, or, so-and-so slept with so-and-so. And we're talking about even small businesses. So what is your vision for how you manage home life, work life? Do they merge?
That's a really interesting and fun take. I think there's got to be boundaries and rules, and what is the culture you are building? So in that case, the restaurant culture is drama,
right?
So if that's what you're tolerating, and as the leader of that restaurant, if that's the culture you're creating, then you're going to perpetuate that behavior. I really believe that people need to bring their whole selves to work. It doesn't mean they're bringing all their dirty laundry and all their personal, intimate stories. But what I mean by that is like not compartmentalizing where the care is, where the hobbies are, where the natural tendencies are. And I think it's up to all of us to use discretion and decide what is the culture I want to be a part of. And what is the culture I want to create in my home, in my community, in my cause, in a movement, or in my company? And that is up. It's up for leadership, for us to decide and choose, just like society and politics and where we're moving. Like, what is the culture we want to create together? What's the new world? What's the new humanity? And that's different than what we have today. We're outgrowing it. It's not working.
Oh, no. And Pluto and Aquarius will literally say it's the revolution of culture, period. Not just business, but the whole world. Although business may drive it and pay for it in many cases, as it often does, right? Since we're talking about company culture, what is missing in most company cultures do you see?
In-person intentional time, I would say.
What's that?
What is that? In-person intentional time? Like these drop-in, like team-based, get them out of the
what do they call them? Bonding exercises.
Say bonding, but we're talking also about like making decisions and actually coming up with solutions
as a team.
But do it, if you're always in the office, go outside, get into nature, get into a different environment. Use nature as a tool. That works. It helps people de-stress. When we de-stress, when we have a clearer mind, we get clearer insights and we come up with better solutions. I'd say more breaks. We've implemented wonderful well-being practices at Plenty, and we recommend them to our clients, where we take a well-being Fridays. So we shut down the office at noon and make sure everybody is filling their cup after 12 o'clock to do whatever they need and want. Making sure that there's time for you and each employee in the day to fill up on your personal needs and have more personal time, because studies show like when you are more filled and fulfilled, you actually perform better.
Oh yeah.
So it's, those kinds
totally
of
amazing. Yeah, I agree with it. And what about a person who, this is something you talk about, the head versus the heart. It's quite a contest, and there are a lot of people think they're doing a good job, and they think they're doing the best, and they think they're looking at the data and look at it. It speaks for itself. How do you help them weigh whether or not they're living in that agenda or living in their heart? How do they lead with their light?
Well, when that surfaces, usually we've got a conflict with the data team who's looking at your numbers, right? And
Right.
the decisions need to be made based on the numbers.
Right.
Then oftentimes you have more of a qualitative team that's more human. So in some of the fundraising, examples, this is a great example. And actually we're working through this right now where we have a team that is interfacing with patients and families and donors, right? The human side of growth, right?
Mhm.
And then you have another team that is looking at the data in the reports, and they're disconnected, and they both are needing to move in the same direction, but it's so siloed and they don't see it from each other's point of view. So what we do is facilitate conversations and get them together and try and ensure that every voice is heard and that there's a way that the data can be applied, but then how do you apply the qualitative data that the human beings are giving? That's data too. Insight is data, right? Emotions, feelings is data,
Oh, that's interesting.
right? So how do
You add
you
it to the data.
make sure that is also brought into the conversation, that it's not just about revenue, it's not just about the top line, it's not just about the numbers. So expanding people's awareness of what data is, it's way beyond the number.
And do you have a way of qualifying the other data, the organic data, the human data, the biological? Is it just a matter of we're getting reports that people are unhappy? Or that's
Well, oftentimes there's surveys to be done, right? You
Right.
can poll and ask and interview with qualitative analysis, and getting people to answer how they feel, what the impact, what their takeaways are. All that is data
Got you.
to learn about the performance of an organization.
Fascinating to like cross data, productivity, sales to, those survey results and see how they weigh and affect each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do people who don't have a leadership role, what's the focus on them? You talk about the leaders and getting them on the same page. With those who report to, what's your approach? Like how their approach to leadership and leading with light?
Yeah, I think, it's the same. I would say whether you're a leader, we're all leaders of ourselves. And so part of helping anybody listening, if you don't identify as a leader, that's okay. Our intention and my hope is that this movement that we're on, this evolution to waking up to our best selves, what is that? And how do we know what can work for us? It doesn't mean you need to be a manager or an executive to make a difference. Like, we're all making a difference where we are. What needs to happen is really, helping people realize that they're enough. That's the ethos of plenty. This idea that there's more than enough to go around, that we're not competing with each other. We're actually competing with a mindset called scarcity. And that idea that there's not enough. The second idea is that actually we have enough. If you just look around wherever you are, you have something to be grateful for. You do. There is something in your life. There's something in your environment you could look at and see beauty and see abundance in. And when you pay attention to that, whatever we focus on forms, whatever we focus on, we grow. So that this, I'm sure that the more we're grateful for it, the more we usher in to be grateful for. And then the last is the premise, which is the basis of all of our work, wherever anybody is the idea that you are enough. You are enough right now, that you have everything you need to take the next step. All you have to do is listen to what your intuition, your heart, your body, your gut, your mind, like, what is just the next step? And that's really kind of the metaphor of lantern, is this idea that when it's dark and you don't know what to do and you're on a evening trail and the sun has set, imagining you have a lantern and you can put it over your head. It only illuminates what's right around you. It doesn't illuminate 3 miles out, a year out, 3 years out. It just illuminates what's right here. So our role is to be super attentive to what's the information, what's the data right here that's informing us and inside of us what next step to take. And then when we take that next step, guess what happens? The light comes with us and it will inform the next step. So that just really helps take the pressure off that we have to figure this all out. We have to know where we're going in a month or two. If we could rest in this idea that we actually have access to innate wisdom, we have access to guidance from a higher light, whatever you name that to be, to show us what the next step is. Once we take it, the path becomes much clearer for us.
Yeah, brilliant. And I feel energetically, when people are in their best self, like when they feel themselves growing and changing, it gives a kinetic energy to the group. So do you see that the energy when you're working on each of these individuals and they're taking those steps inside themselves, do you come back after 6 years and they're all playing cards and laughing?
Well, so oftentimes the teams are different.
Okay, so what happened to them? But that's the thing. Yeah, you were talking about that. I want to go back to that point in a minute. Like a lot of them, you heal them and they're like, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, but like honestly, the change, I wish I had one of those like aura photo cameras.
That's a good tool.
Like the the beginning and after. It's just unbelievable when we, and I love what you just shared with all your astrology tea time. It's like we're living in this time right now that we get to choose if we're going to turn our lights on or not. And nobody's going to fucking do that for us. We have to do that for ourselves. It's just a matter of when are you going to decide that you're worthy enough to turn your light on? And it does. We all have it. The light's already on because we're living. But how much do we want to turn it up? How much do we want to get curious about it? Like, what are we willing to pursue? What really lights us up now? Are we really willing to say what needs to be said? Or not say, like have the awareness to say, actually, saying something is not going to be helpful. That's equally wise, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I just feel like the time is just so ripe for all of us. It's why we've incarnated here, to help humanity, help this earth evolve and become enlightened beings. And in order to do that, we need to kind of experiment with what does enlightenment feel like now in our bodies. And it's not for everyone. Not all the executives are buying that tea, if you will. But the people that have touched something inside of their soul, inside of their light, they're different people and they're doing different things. They may not all have left. We have people that are staying and like just doing incredible things, but they're doing it more aligned to themselves, not aligned to what they thought they should have done.
Well, I find in my research, which is just doing readings of people, I've read whole companies, little small companies, and read everyone and saw like the collective karma. And from what I can tell, a lot of people's employment is based on their karma, which is that they need to learn this about themselves and that about themselves. And they wouldn't have seen that unless they had that little exchange at the water cooler, that little, that hostile email subject line, and so a lot of drama, things that come up, I think that was the only place they could have, like in some ways, I almost think, did we just create money to process karma? Because otherwise we'd just be wandering around doing nothing, because you really have to process it. And then when you process it, you're over it. You're no longer feeling associated with that particular place you were. And so companies, I imagine, are losing people for good reasons and good riddance, because it was causing, situations. So it's interesting, the mechanics of what's happening, under the hood there.
Yeah. And wouldn't you, in your work too, do you sense and see, it's almost like we're going through this like massive realignment, right? Like people are spinning in and they're spinning out, right? Of frequency. And so because that energetics is so alive and fast moving right now in our our planetary time,
Yeah.
that there's a lot, relationships are changing quickly. We are changing in relationship to ourselves quickly. We're
Yes.
questioning more things. We're wondering more things. And there's more of like a spinning in and a spinning out, new people coming in. And so I think I love the karma, because, you know, I've had a ton of past life regressions in my lifetime, and experiencing those things, you get a whole different appreciation for patterns and for roles I've played, and that kind of alignment or misalignment makes a lot more sense if you're interested in seeing how karma plays out in those ways for you.
I'm in a very unique spot here where I am an astrologer that reads charts with a company that all believes in this.
Yeah.
Right, has all bought into it, except my partner doesn't, which is a great balance. We need that one no for all the yeses to hold center. Not strict no, but believe what you want kind of thing. But you know, I've been observing. We just did this year where I did a reading with all of our content creators to sort of see where they were going and looking at their, you know, what's going to be growth. And I saw, you know, how we were all co-triggering the lessons of each other, and, you know, talking to my partner, we're trying to build in a space where we consider that in our decision making. You know, we consider that, you know, this person is going through this. There's this architecture of transformation happening. How do we get out of the way? But also, how do we help the associate not see it as a coworker thing, but see it as a multi-lifetime thing, or, you know, to take a different perspective with it. It's not working yet. we're still prototyping. You know, you have something that you say: intention, alignment, and energy impacts one's ability to lead. Can you explain what you mean by those three points?
Yeah. So intention is different than a goal. So, you know, a goal you can think of, when you think of a goal, it's more concrete, fixed in time, more grounded, attainable, measurable, like, right? You can kind of get a sense of that. Intention is really our come from. It's within our container and our choice to choose what energy we bring and how we want to feel as we move towards our goal. It's literally the energy of the journey, if you could think of it that way.
Yeah.
And what happens is so many people, including myself, I forget how powerful I am to set intention. And that when I do and I let it go, it actually happens. I actually participate in that. And when I can share it with a group, like for your team, when you're talking about this matrix of this architecture, which is so beautiful and brave to apply what you're doing on yourself. And it's hard, it's complicated, it's messy, right?
Yeah.
There's no instructions for it either, by the way. Like,
yeah. Or case research.
Right? Like you're learning as you're doing. But the intention, why are you doing that? Like, what's the purpose for you? What are you wanting to experience as you layer in this beautiful astrology structure to your own team? What's the point? Like, what's the energy that you and the team want to create in doing that? That's intention. You know, what's the other two words that you
alignment and energy.
Alignment. Yeah. So alignment is, again, getting clear about your essence, like who you are beyond the body. Like, we all have a mask and a beautiful, like, container of this body, this vessel. We're so lucky to have it. And it's not all of us. That our light, our soul, our spirit lives beyond the body. So when you think about aligning to that, I call it light, but whatever that is for you, like, how do you know when you are in alignment and out of alignment to that?
Okay.
So one easy question is, do I feel expanded or do I feel contracted? Super simple. And you can do that question with a role, with a business decision. Just quickly ask yourself, Do I feel expanded? Meaning I'm open. I notice I'm leaning in. I'm getting more excited. I'm talking with my hands. I'm more articulate. Or am I contracted and I'm avoiding? I'm procrastinating. I'm closing my hand. Like whatever that is a real attunement question that helps you to decide and discover, are you in alignment with your true essence, your higher light, with your truth that needs to be shared at that moment or not, or in a dialogue with a lover or a partner. And then energy, it's interesting. Yeah, I think that just goes back to like, we have an energy body. And oftentimes we aren't aware that life, people, grocery stores, schools, public places have an impact on our energy. And being very mindful of how we are taking care of our energy body, how we are fueling ourselves. Are we coming to work in a relaxed state? Are we on automatic pilot and we are in a frenetic kind of, we're very bouncy, if you will, like it's hard for us to calm down. Sometimes that's coming from inside of us. And sometimes we're picking that up from others and we're like, ooh, I don't even know what just happened, but this is not mine. So I personally do a lot of cleansing practices. I use crystals, I use sage, I use smells and essential oils. I use sound and music and crystal bowls, like helping to make sure that the energy of what I'm bringing is positive and enlightened and pure. And then noticing when it's not, when I've picked up something like, okay, I don't feel great in my body. So helping our clients learn different practices so they can take care of their energy too.
Yeah, energy is interesting. Energy hygiene is the new buzzword around our community, having good energy hygiene.
Yeah.
You know, how is it? This is something that happens to us a lot. I'm seeing, especially with the younger generations, the millennials and those, you know, these next ones, just they're born with their own issues. And a common issue I get is people don't feel like they are heard. You're not hearing me. This is like, and it's like, what do you mean? I've heard it 4 times now. Nothing's changed in what you said. Like, there's a disconnection there.
Yeah.
How do you help people feel heard? Like, what are they really craving when they say feel heard? Because sometimes it's documented, it's in the note meetings, it's like, it's there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Business sucks at this, I will just say, like as a general term.
I suck at this and I'm a leader.
Right. And it's and because business is made up of people and we all suck at this, most of us. It's just an area of practice. I think a great tool is simply reflecting back. Did I hear you? This is what I heard. And we don't do it often enough. It is so simple. And it's coachable. It's teachable. Oftentimes when we reflect too, we use our own language that sounds different. It's not exactly what you said.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, but I'm running it through my own perceptions, my own language, my own articulation. And then often that's what you need to feel heard. Then there's an agreement. Yes, I got you. Now, granted, the second piece is behavior change, right? Can I show that maybe what you were asking, you know, not only did I hear you, but if you needed me to do something different, I could show you in behavior. But that first piece in any relationship of human communication is, this is what I believe you're saying. Did I hear you correctly? Or oftentimes on a coaching call, sometimes in the spirit of picking up energy, we'll have a person on the other line and their words aren't matching their body language, right? They are kind of saying the speech, but they look depressed or they look exhausted or you can just feel. And so asking questions like, are you okay? Like, is there something else you want to share? I'm picking this up. Is this an accurate reading of your feelings right now. Just that reflection is so helpful. And if we can do that more in the workplace, I think we'll definitely hear each other more, and we'll satiate that need to be heard.
Agreed. And you're right. It's really communication, basically, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Our communication approach is not working and echoing it back. So I'll try to remember that tomorrow or Monday. Well, we'd love to hear more about what you offer. You and your partner run Lantern Leadership Retreats. Who is the ideal person for this? I imagine a small business owner who has a small staff, a very close staff, or all the way up to Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yeah, the CEOs of billion-dollar companies have been with us, and everything in between, from entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, to executive managers, board members, anybody who is looking to become more of themselves. Honestly, we have a lot of people in transition. Transition in career, transition in relationship.
Yeah.
Very successful people that are ready for more, and they can feel like there's just something more. What is it? And that draws a lot of people who want to experience a leadership retreat that's different. It's mindful. It's outdoors. It's in the mountains. We take people on trails. We have candlelight dinner. We include meditation and yoga and business conversations and strategy on helping people really rediscover what their blueprint is. And when I say blueprint, I mean what they're passionate about, what they're great at, why are they here. And it's really special, and it's really helpful for young leaders and seasoned leaders that are looking to kind of up the game at this time of life.
It's great. I think if most people are lost and don't know their purpose. I mean, the number one question in my readings is, what is my purpose? And where's my love? Those are the two questions. And then where's my money? And they'll switch them up. So I think what you're offering is a great kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Woo-woo clean. It's like you're giving this the core basics of how to operate versus having to go down learn some mantras, you know what I mean? Or some of the other spiritual ways that we've done it.
Yeah. I think with purpose, I just want to say, I've had the direct experience of witnessing that people finding their purpose isn't hard. I think we've made it really hard. Right. And really scary and big. But I would bet, and I see it every day, that when we really just tune in to listen, what we've always kind of leaned into and cared about, it's there, and it kind of manifests in a sentence or a couple of words. It's not hard, and we love taking the hard out of it. Like, what if finding your purpose, what if you're already on purpose? You just haven't articulated it.
Right. I think what I see the most is, how do I know this is the one and something else isn't the one?
Yeah.
They usually come with 20 or 30 purposes.
Yeah.
and so they're trying to split white from off-white to eggshell white as far as they're concerned, how close they are. And sometimes they have a lot of things they want to do and they don't know the order in which they should do them. Those are some of the things I see coming up with purpose. And I'll just kick in now. The intention part, we're going back to a few, talk a few moments earlier. I've always felt like intention, the essence of the soul. I think we were born with that. I think that's what makes us unique, that we were born with those intentions and we're not quite aware of them at first. So I think it's the essence of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So your book, Leading of Light, I want to make sure people know about you and how to find you. Where would I start with you if I was a beginner? Probably the book, huh?
Yeah, please read the book. You can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Bookshop or your local bookstore. Ask for them to order it. It's an easy read. It's really gettable. We wrote it to be enjoyable, like you're sitting down with a good cup of coffee and a cozy blanket, and you look forward to reading it. And then it's really helpful for you to navigate life, navigate your choices, and remember how special and important you are.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think we all were wishing that being a human came with a handbook. So it sounds like you've got one there, at least one operating opportunity. And your website, just make sure I get it correctly. You say it for us, actually.
Yeah, it's plentyconsulting.com.
.com. Perfect. So many hybrid these days. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope you stay behind backstage and chat with us for a moment, meet our producers and stuff face to face.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's so fun to be in your presence. Thanks for what you do.
Oh, thank you. I know that we have a lot of soul entrepreneurs here, a lot of practitioners, people who really care about consciousness and who are trying to create businesses of light.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have a huge market coming because it seems to be the trend. And I know a lot of people are jumping ship from the old school, wanting to go into light school. So it sounds like you have the tools and all the answers for the footprint for that. So thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Ciao for now.
Ciao.
Alrighty. Fun. That was great. I hope, that's a topic I geek out about. I don't know if everyone geeks out about that topic, but I really feel like it's through, if your job at Wendy's brings you into the light, the world's going to change, right? Like, and if Wendy's can figure out that consulting like her leads to higher profitability, the world's going to change. Because one thing that's active in the world right now is greed and the desire for money. And I want money and I want greed. But if you can say to a company like Wendy's or any of these companies, like, you'll make more money if you invest in the spirituality of your associates, they're going to do it. So I applaud her work. Bravo. And very Jennifer Christopher. That's like my whole life is always Jennifer and Christopher. My ex-wife was Jennifer. I'm not putting it to you. I'm just saying it's the popular combination in my generation. It's really cool. Like Jennifer and Christopher is like Barbie and Ken of the 70s. All right, friends. We now are saying goodbye for now. We want to bring up some of the things that we want to promote before you leave. So please stick around and find out what is important for us. First and foremost, I want to remind you that we have a new section on Serious Joy. It is free every day, and you can plug in and join us. That's right. It is called The Daily Downloads. It's on seriousjoy.com, starring Heather Exposito. You will get in just 3 minutes. So we will take care of your astrology, your horoscope in 3 minutes every day on the homepage. It's live right now at seriousjoy.com, and it's just going to become better and better. We're really trying to now move into the public. When I say in the public, we mean content that is advertiser driven instead of, subscription driven. We want to offer all models, whatever is comfortable for you. And this is the beginning of us coming to the public. Other than this show, Namaste Today Live, this is the first real astrology thing we put out since this show. So Heather's amazing. She's so much fun. She's a step 9 Sagittarius. She gets the information out there. And she's fun too. That's what I love about Sagittarius is they're fun. Let's make learning fun, right? Thank you. Come on down to seriousjoy.com. I'm looking for my other notes. I'm sorry. Here we go. Whew. 5 documents open here. Also, this week we are going at seriousjoy.com. I'm going to actually step back. I want to also promote, that was our subscriber, that was our advertiser. Next Monday, my show with amongst of other psychics and mediums, Leading Out Loud. Got to get it out of your mouth with taking this Mercury retrograde. Leading Out Loud is live next week. This is going to be our tape show because we take the week, talk about work-life balance. We try to pre-tape the final show of the month. And we're going to be talking about our frequently asked questions, our FAQs, this is a fascinating show because all 4 of us sort of bring all sorts of topics to the table that everyone talks about in light work. And we never really get to the bottom of. So we try to get to the bottom of some of these interesting spiritual stories and what's going on behind what. This is live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Now it's at the Leading Out Loud channel. We found out that YouTube was penalizing us for broadcasting it at many different YouTube channels at the same time. So we drew and we're only going to be on one YouTube channel because YouTube's algorithm did not like that very much. They called it a duplicate of the show. Again, come live. We'd love to see you. And we do answer questions and interact with the chat like we do here in this show. Now, back to seriousjoy.com. As we said, we have some free content to the public. We also do the planets and transits right on the homepage. So if you want to know what step number it is, come to seriousjoy.com. You want to know if something's squaring something, come to seriousjoy.com. You want to hear your horoscope for the world, come to seriousjoy.com and get your daily download. We also have for our subscribers special shows, and I can't believe it's been a month already. Next Wednesday, the Golden Mega Monthly Address with is it Angel Intervention? No. Okay. I suddenly went through a timeline where I'm like, wait, do I have the calendar date wrong? But that's funny. A little flash there. It's all good. Mercury retrograde, man. So this is where this is a town hall meeting. We invite the entire subscriber base to come into a Zoom room and I present the planets for the whole month. And then at the end, I take questions and we have a little interaction. I don't know any astrology app that's doing that. And I'm just saying, If you want to get your hands, dirty and understand the astrology, we have 4 of these talks where we bring our community together a month. And this is the one that really will introduce what's coming up in September. September is forever. I'll just say that. That's what's going to happen. That's our town hall TV shows. All right. Sharing is caring. We kindly ask you, for us giving and sharing this information with you. And I come every week for 18 years sharing information for you. Would you please share us with others? That's what we're asking. Please share it with your friends, your family. Don't forget that we put out the horoscopes every Tuesday. So I think most of the time people love to hear about themselves. It's a great way to share. We appreciate it. We thank you in advance. Also come rub elbows with us on our Facebook group, seriousjoy.club. We have moderators across the world, 24 hours a day. Actually, in our club, we are organized, making sure there's no shift in there. No people trying to sell you stuff. We catch people trying to pull you into a reading and try to get a reading. We're like, nope, we block them from the club. We are constantly pulling out all the bugs. So you have a safe space that's free. All you have to do is abide by our spiritual rules, which is no politics and compassion to everyone. You can follow me everywhere in the world at seriousjoy.social. That's our LinkedIn tree. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, which is becoming a big pattern, our numbers are growing huge with the listening because people are doing it when they're horseback riding or whatever. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. Finally, I want to say thank you to our producer, Diane DeStefano, our casting director, Nina Kay. She's also our moderator and casting director, I should say. Our fabulous director, Grandmaster Adam Turner, and our teaching staff at seriousjoy.com, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Devin Dewar, Joe Zammett, Gwen English, Daiki Okamoto, and Heather Exposito, and your daily download. Hey, I want to say thanks to our groupies, who we call Super Chat people. These are people that always show up, always have a good time, and are always reliable. And we love you for showing up every week. It makes us feel like we're with family. So our soul brother, Joe Blankenship, Neptune Girl, I saw Christine Kelly in the audience, Jamar, I saw Sydney in the audience. I don't think I did see Iggy in the audience. Nitu, I think too. Michelle Camper, Michelle Bell, Erica, Experimental Elemental, Lori Ship, Nikki Anderson, Libra Lauren, Princess Coffee Bean, Jill Louise, and Margot Melia. And by the way, Sydney, if you want to be on that Super Friends list, we're going to start watching to see if you show up every week, and we'll give you the shout out as our gratitude. All right, friends. I hope you have a fabulous week looking at yourself under a microscope and noticing every detail you don't like about yourself. But hey, I'll be back next Friday. We'll lighten up and we come to that peaceful step 7 Virgo. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be.